Welcome to Saturday is Wrong with your host, the ultimate video game. Not to intellect, the Casey is wrong. We talk about video games, pro wrestling and web. Whatever the fuck we want to talk about with this co-host AJ Raider, Tex, Joe, Compton, Michael, Devious Dave Rose, MK3 Kratos. And the Rose because it's Saturday is Raw. This means Raw. Saturday is wrong. If you want some, come get some fun because it's Saturday's Raw.
Bro, my name is Vince Russo, and I am a big fan of the worldwide interweb, bro. That's right, bro. I love YouTube, and bro, I am always looking for the next big thing, the next big show, the next big personality, and I think I found it, bro. On YouTube, Casey is Raw, bro. Casey is an avid, bro, video game collector. Loves playing retro games, bro, just like me. As a matter of fact, bro, the only game I've ever beat, bro, is Rygar, bro. Rygar on the original Nintendo system. But, bro, let me tell you, Casey even has a podcast, bro. A podcast where he talks wrestling, and it's called Saturday is Raw. Also, bro, Casey goes video game hunting, and he takes you along, man. Check it out. YouTube, Casey is Raw. Podcast, Saturday is Raw. Bro, check out Casey.
Saturday night with Casey's Raw energy. We're ready for the fight. Agent Raiders and Tex rise to the call. MK3, Kratos and Joe, we're having a ball. From video games to wrestling, we cover it all. We're the kings of the screen under neon lights. Saturday Raw, igniting the nights. We're the crew so wild, we'll rise to the top. In the world of gaming, we'll never stop. In this chaos, we find our might. Michael's lost in the shadows, but we're alright. Discussing world news, no fear, no shame. With laughter and stories, fueling the game. Join the madness as we break down the walls. We're the kings of the screen under neon lights. Saturday Raw, igniting the night. We're the crew so wild, we'll rise to the top. In the world of gaming, we'll never stop.
Guys, my name is Casey is Raw. Welcome to Saturday is Raw. Let's make sure I'm actually have sound. We do have sound for once. There's no fuck up from my audio this time. We do have MK3 Kratos. Oh come on, you cannot hear me. Fuck off, Dave. I can tell you right now.
I'm well, yeah, I'm just working on something.
Oh yeah. So, next week is actually well, it was between this week and next week is the anniversary of 18 years since the Benoit tragedy. Um, I've been wanting talking a little bit more about this. I feel the Benoit tragedies are one of those things that you kind of remember exactly where you were. And I can tell you not only where I was, like the location, I was, I mean, what building I was in, I can tell you where I am. Oh, but first, let's say hi to some of the people we have in the chat. We got, oh, excuse me, we have, it's the Costanza saying, I like tragedies like this, you sick bastard. We got Devious Dave Rose, who's also on the call.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Casey.
Yeah, you can hear me. let me let me guess. There's something wrong with my internet as well.
Yeah, and your mic. But yeah, it's interesting that you bring up the Benoit point because when you said that, I had to at least discuss stuff. But I think there's still a lot of mystery around his death. I don't think it's as straightforward as people say it is, and when they dismiss it, they're not looking at all the evidence.
Well, hold on. Last person we got in here is Joe Compton. Thanks to all the people in the chat. So yeah. So honestly, I feel like I think they needed a I felt like they needed like a trial because even or at least something just like cutting an open and shut case. I mean, like we're never. I don't know if we'll ever see the pictures of of him being hung, but like I
Casey,
mean,
was Jimmy Snuka an open and shut case? Are we gonna?
it should have been because I mean he was found civilly liable for it, but for some reason they didn't charge him criminally
Criminally. Yeah.
until 30 years later, and
Yeah.
then by then he already had some type of cancer that really
And
like
although
real.
he could have faced like questioning, they use that as a claim that he was too infirm to face questioning, which I think is a cop out. It's like Harvey Weinstein walking with a walker, even though he can walk
mm,
without it, but try to make
well,
himself look like a victim so he doesn't have to take the stand.
well, he did die like almost immediately after he was uh found. Well, it's not really. He was found not fit for trial. It was like a couple weeks later after that. So so he was definitely had health issues, but one of the biggest things they were saying that Jimmy Snuka didn't know how to read or write anything in English, but he's been in America at least since the 70s. So you figure for what 50 years he couldn't learn English or write English.
That's bullshit.
So
I don't believe it.
yeah.
And if he was
Look,
alive today, Trump would probably be deporting him.
oh, we got this guy right here. It says to the Texas. Oh God, chief, a lot of records. He says Benoit is innocent. No.
Again, you can call me a conspiracy theorist. Many people have. You can also call me factually correct because I just keep getting proven correct. But um, everything that I've seen so far seems to indicate that there's a lot more that went down with that, with the Benoit case. And it seems like some people, including Eddie Guerrero, may have known. So it deserves to be examined and not dismissed. I don't know if
I
I
would.
know the conclusion, although some people have already come to that conclusion. It wasn't just a simple murder suicide.
I mean that's what it was. It was murder suicide, but uh, I think the cause of it, we'll probably never know, and we can speculate what was the cause of his conditions or what was it caused him to snap.
No, tour capture. It wasn't because he had CTE, and I think that again is just one of these things that's just used to
Oh no,
blanket the conversation and not examine what was going on in the background.
I think he definitely had CTE. But I feel like honestly, I think a lot of sports people, not only wrestlers, I think not only wrestlers have CT, boxers, obviously MMA fighters. I wouldn't even doubt those
So do
slap
your viewers from listening to you.
no, hey, definitely slap fighters who does that shit now. I'm like, dude, you ever seen those slap fighting competitions? Or
Yeah, I've seen clips of them. I don't watch them. I think it's barbaric and stupid. So no, I
it is
don't.
barbaric. Like there's one like footage where it was from uh outside the country, but it was not one of these bigger ones, but the guy had like a really huge uh bump on his cheek because how many times they slapped him right there, but eventually the guy won. But like it was like it was the size of a small watermelon on the side of his face. Like but and then obviously football players, but I think they have CTE as well. I think the only people who's in sports, and I'm not going to consider motorsports with this because I mean, yeah, they can have probably some type of CTE. I guess they could, but not. I don't think everyone's going to have it. But I think out of all the physical sports, I think baseball is probably the one that you wouldn't think any of the players will have CTE unless they get fucking nailed in the head with a baseball. But uh, I'm gonna tell you, no, I remember exactly where I was when I heard about the whole when all three was dead. See, at back in '07, you could sign up for the WWE uh when they'll text you news when stuff happens, and I signed up for that.
Hold on. In
So
what year?
of 2007,
And they would text you news.
yeah, it would text you news. You had to sign up for it though. I don't think it cost anything, but you just had to sign up for it. So I was working at Sears and that morning, and I could tell you exactly where I was. I was a what was called an MCA. Uh, Not only I would put products together, and I would also build signs and put signs up. And I was actually in the microwave section when I got alert from it. It was like, and I was just shocked when I looked at the text from WWE that all three people died. Uh, let's see, we got two capture says some say it was based on Eddie's death and he went crazy. I think that's part of it, honestly. We got AJ Harrison. I did investigation and all the signs says he's innocent. Uh, like, well, if you got an investigation, let's send out a invite to him, and if he sounds like a nut job, we'll kick him off. So I'll put in the link. But Total Captures, like, did Benoit killed his son first or his wife? Oh, it was his wife first. He killed her on Saturday, and it was
Okay.
they were not they were not sure when they killed Daniel. Then they don't know if it was Saturday night or Sunday morning. And
The
then
information that I've read is that, and it just seems to fit, is that Chris Sullivan had this absolute hate for Benoit, and took revenge on him for apparently taking his wife, and the way that he supposedly talked to people on the phone, it sounded like he was being held hostage. And again, everything seems to point towards that, in my opinion.
I was always, when it first happened, I knew about the whole thing with Kevin Sullivan situation with, the where he booked his own divorce, and I thought maybe there's possibility. Hey, we got Joel Compton in here. What's up, Joe?
Welcome.
Hey, I'm trying a new setup. How well can y'all hear me?
You're okay.
All
We can
right.
hear.
4 out of 10.
Let's play devil's advocate on this Benoit case here for a minute. Let's say he is innocent. Do you think the damage is too far done to put him in the Hall of Fame and all that stuff?
Well, I mean, I
Yes,
feel like
unless the information comes out that he's innocent. Yeah, and even if it does, it's probably at this point it probably is too tainted.
mm,
I don't know if it's possible to undo all the propaganda and damage that they've done to his reputation. So maybe it would have to take another generation before they finally say, "Oh, we found the real files and he was innocent."
yeah, I mean, dude, it's been almost 18 years when this happened. You want
Yeah, it's
to
been
feel
24
old?
years since 9/11, and
Yeah.
we're still being told the official story. So,
Well, let me ask you. I mean, let me tell you something. This will make you feel old. So when Daniel got killed, he was 7 years old. You know what? If let's say he was still alive today, you know how old he would be today?
No.
He would be 25 years old today if he was still alive. That's how. And it's real easy because he was born in 2000 and he died in 2007, and he was 7 years old. So, and we're in 2025, so
Very good,
he would
Casey can do math.
he
I'm
would
proud
been
of you.
25, huh?
Very good. You can do simple math. I'm proud of you.
But I'm just saying that makes me feel old, and it's crazy. I think 25 is when I was 25 when this all happened, I believe. So I was affected when that happened. Like, I wouldn't say he was my favorite wrestler, but he was definitely, to me, he was like one of the best wrestler at the time. But I felt like there was rumors is that he was on his way down to probably be a coach, or oh, we got AJ Harrison in here. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing. I'm doing. Um, yeah, no, I just happened to. I was on my YouTube and I happened to come across the Chris Benoit thing, and I tuned in and I was checking the comments and stuff. This is really piqued my interest. So felt the need to throw in my comments there because I mean I did a huge investigation, my brother and I, over on our bear with me a second here. Over on our show, first and last hit show on FALH Radio, and throughout several weeks we dug through the evidence, pulled different material, anything that we could get. Chris Benoit took, I mean, a lot of damage to his head. I won't dismiss any of that. But can anybody here, or even in the comments, please make logical sense to me, or explain this to me. If you go to commit suicide by hanging, why would you first put a white cloth around your neck? I mean, if you're not, it doesn't add up. And then there was no drugs or alcohol in his system.
Well, minus the steroids.
Well, yeah, but I mean, his brain was, if I remember correctly, it resembled an 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient. I'm not gonna sit there and I mean, it's look how long it's been, and it's still one of the most widely talked about cases out there.
Well, yeah, it's one of the biggest, darkest days of all time. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
I think the next one is like I would probably say, oh gosh, the Jimmy Snuka, and I think that's the next. That's the one that's below that one, because I mean, like Dave was saying, is like, I mean, how long it took forever to they were going to prosecute him, and by the time they did it, they're like, oh, he's too gone.
fit for trial or something. Yeah.
But
But you know, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
but go ahead. I
No,
forgot
I
I
was
was going.
just I was just gonna say, you know, and then there was a voicemail, and I forget who he was leaving the voicemail to. If you listen in the back,
Chavo Guerrero.
and we were
He left it to Chavo.
okay. Well, no, yeah, there was one to Chavo. And I'll have to go back and look. Yeah, he did leave one to Chavo, but there was another one specifically. Get down, because you're gonna get sick, and I don't want you on my sofa. Sorry about that, cats.
It's all right. I got
I
my dog right here.
But no, there was, so yes, he did leave one to Chavo, but there was and I don't remember. I don't know if it was a doctor or something. I have to go back and find out the person's name. But in that
Mm,
in that voicemail, you can hear one, if you listen, you can hear as if it sounds like a body or something is being dragged in the background. And if you listen to the way Benoit sounds, a few things don't add. One, he sounds like he's drugged. Two, it sounds as if he's being forced, you know. And Benoit, he was always one to not really talk about his personal life. He was very, very private guy. But no, one of the biggest thing that stood out to me was not only that, in that same voicemail, because I forget where we found it. My brother and I were able to find where they separated, you know, the technology nowadays, the background from also the voicemail. In the background, a door shuts, bodies being dragged, or what sounds like it.
oh,
There,
that could be him though.
yeah, that's possible. But now the best part is you can hear somebody in the background. Aside from Benoit, because Benoit's talking at the same time, there's somebody else in that house. Now, who it is, I don't know. And I've often, my brother and I would say this after each investigation. These are just our thoughts and opinions. We don't know what happened. We weren't there. The only people that really know what happened were the Benoit family, and if you're a believer in God, God Himself.
And Like, oh yeah, pretty much all the people are dead, and I'm sure the cops probably have an idea what happened. But I mean, even when they discovered the bodies, they didn't automatically say it was a murder suicide. It took a little bit because I mean, like I said, I was doing work when I got the text message from WF News, and that was in the morning. And they're like, well, they're obviously going to do something for Chris Benoit for Raw. And then I remember, yeah, there was news leaking at the same time Raw was going on. And it was like, it didn't really start until late of the third hour. But I remember going on the internet and I was listening to Don Tony's episode of it was him and Kevin Castle and a couple other people. And I remember, like I said, going on the computer, seeing one side there, like, oh, you want to watch Chris Benoit and his retrospective, and on one side of of the screen, and on the other side they're saying, uh, murder suicide situation. And it's like, oh my god, like couldn't they like once they figure out, you figure like, okay, we're gonna get rid of everything on this side. So
I
it was
honestly
weird.
thought it was Nancy when it came out that it was a murder, a double murder suicide. I thought it was Nancy, and
I
yeah,
was sadly I was kind of hoping it was that because I I honestly didn't think it could have been Chris, but it was obviously going to be if it was one of those three people, it was either going to be Chris or it was going to be Nancy. But I feel like I feel like the biggest I think it's a mixture of a bunch of things. I think it's definitely CT is a huge part of it. Um, I also think him having being depressed because all his friends are dying. Like shoot, before Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit dying, dude, their wrestlers were dropping like flies.
oh yeah.
Like during that time frame. It was like almost like every month you had a bunch of them died every month during that time because of drugs. And I'm sure he was just felt emotional. I mean, he was very emotional when Eddie died, up to the point where he had to have a journal to write to him. Uh, I mean, I feel like some people grieve in different ways. But I could almost feel this is my speculation. I could almost feel like the way he was grieving over Eddie. I might be out of line, but there might be a situation that maybe there was a gay relationship because, like, you don't see someone bawling their brains out just for a friend. Usually it's like a spouse or like a family member.
So
Like, I,
if I may, real quick, if I may, um, one of those things where I would actually like to agree to disagree with you on that. And if I may share my thoughts as to why. So, and not to get too off topic here, but the late great Bray Wyatt, Wyndham Rotunda,
yeah.
when he died, and I may even get choked up just talking about it. That is a death that I took
Mhm.
real. I mean, very very hard, and I still get emotional and things like that. My daughter was born um, on that same month, and so family was here at home, and when I finally, after the initial shock of those few days, and it hit me, I became so uncontrollable, just emotional, and just completely lost it. I referenced that to, um, and I even cried when Eddie died, but I have not. completely lost it like that over a wrestler. I mean, and you're talking to somebody here who I lost my son, my firstborn son,
Oh shit.
at the day shy of 3 months old, back in 2022.
Damn.
Um, and I will honestly say that Bray Wyatt's death is probably the second death the second most heartbreaking death for me that I have taken um, personally, and it's just really gotten to me. So,
For, for me, the worst one. I mean, sadly, I have both my parents are no longer here. Like, actually, this is going to be coming up next month. It'll be 10 years since my dad's been gone. Uh, I lost my wife back in 2017,
oh,
and I just lost my mom 2 years ago coming up. So, but I mean, I honestly I love both of my parents, but the one that really affected me was my wife. I felt the the first year, maybe year and a half, that I should have done therapy because I was not only I was getting emotionally triggered, like it was to be minorest things that would trigger emotions and flashback memories about everything. And the only reason I wouldn't say got over it, but helped mend the heart was not only I came back down here where I had my mom and my family and some of my friends was down here. And I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, even the people who some people on this call helped too, and some of the people who was in my chat that was there to help. And when we were part of Joe Cronin's community, I I needed that because I was emotionally fucked
oh,
for a
I
good
get
year
that.
and a half.
Oh, dude, I remember that shit, Casey. You took that shit hard as fuck, dog.
Yeah. By the way, I'm just curious. How do you feel? This is a kind of don't take this the hard way, but we do have someone in our chat called Chris Benoit's Bowflex.
Oh, good lordy, have mercy.
Uh,
he he does say Harley Race did the heaven but head the diving headbutt for decades, and he didn't kill anyone. But
Now, I was
uh,
thinking about something here when I was driving to work. I don't mean to cut you off, Casey,
no, go ahead.
but Mick Foley, who took more damage, do you think? Who do you think took more damage mentally and in the brain? Mick Foley or Benoit?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm gonna say Foley all the way. I mean,
Yeah,
Because
you, I,
Foley, he
yeah.
has he has never gone off the rails. He's never done something. I'm gonna say supposedly because I'm playing devil's advocate here for Benoit. He's
Mm.
never done anything supposedly like Chris has done.
Well, I mean, hopefully. But hopefully when I don't want to see Mick Foley die anytime soon, but hopefully we would the day he does that we would check have his brain checked out because look, I mean that's a great point. I mean Mick Foley, I mean that's the only person right now you would think is hardcore today that you could really think that's still alive that hadn't done anything crazy that we know of. Like, but hopefully nothing happened. But I think I seen an interview. He's like, he knows that he has CTE. There's no way he doesn't. I mean, unless he has like a skull made out of steel or something. But I mean, Benoit's Bowflex brings up New Jack. I'm curious. We should I wish they would have checked his brain, but that was a couple years ago now. But I mean,
So
he
with
was
that being said, do you think we can rule the CTE out as a reason as to why he did it?
no. I think uh, I think
And well, and I'm not necessarily going to say why, but if he did it,
I'm gonna say. I mean, everyone's body is different. Some people can handle injuries differently. Like some people like gets injured easier than some people, and some people can handle it easier or better than anyone. And just because Mick Foley hadn't killed anyone, like we don't know behind the scenes that I mean, I'm not we don't know if he's not like abusive behind the scenes. I mean,
for
hopefully
fuck's
that's not
sake,
true.
Casey, the motherfucker plays Santa Claus and goes to children's hospital. I don't
Oh,
think he'd hurt his eye.
I'm gonna assume he doesn't, but like we all figured that Benoit wouldn't have done that either.
Was
But
Benoit dressing up as Santa Claus and going to children's hospitals? No, the fuck he was not.
no, but I mean, God, if you watch that tribute, everyone was saying how good the guy was, that he was a family man.
That was
Like,
Okay.
before they
I
found out what went down.
Hold
yeah,
on. Well, I just want to make a point here. Joe, you're talking about dressing up as Santa Claus and all that. I mean, look at John Wayne Gacy. Not to get off topic here, but the man was
ooh,
he was a
that's a
clown.
great point.
He was a children's clown. Went to parties and things like that. And then, I mean, need we really have to get into what he did?
Yeah, that's a great point. But I mean, I don't see Mick Foley doing it, but God, God damn, that'd be another horrible day if he does something like that.
I spoke to
Like
a
you said,
wrestler. Go ahead. I'm
like
sorry.
you, like you said, I was affected when Bray Wyatt died. I was shocked when that happened. Same thing with Eddie. Like there were certain deaths that really shocked me. Same thing with kind of with Sabu, because how Sabu just wrestled and like a month later he dropped dead. But
Well, back to the Benoit case, though. I was going to say that. So two things were actually brought to my attention. We had a guest on the show, and he seemed very nervous talking about it, and so we did it off the record, of course. And out of respect for him, I will say from the original ECW, he did mention the Guerrero family as a possibility of for what happened with Benoit. It make it, and Casey, you're not the only one to have brought up about a possible gay relationship between Eddie and Benoit.
mm,
I mean, again, all of these things, and I even referenced, the door was unlocked. Why would Benoit reach out? On both phones. He texted from Nancy's phone and his own phone about the house being unlocked and gave his address. Why is he giving his address to Chavo and I believe one of the referees or producers when they already knew Benoit? They knew where he lived and things like that. Why would
yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah, I would say that and even then leading up to that, he was very paranoid, taking different routes home.
yes.
Is there a possibility maybe he got in with the MOB?
I honestly, I mean, I think how bad his head was. God, look at the freaking journal he had. He was when he was writing to Eddie that he was having dreams about the government coming after for him and Nancy, and they were coming after for their parents, and their parents were uh Chris's parents was dead, and then Nancy's parents was dead, and and then he would tell wrestlers that, I'm a very private person. I don't want anyone to know where I live. Like, you figure at least the people. I was gonna say maybe the people you could trust is the wrestlers, but they also do ribs where like they'll shit in people's bags. So, but like I'm sure some friends knew exactly where he lived, but like I think there was definitely what the CT really fucked his brain up to the point where like McMahon would say, "Oh, if he had a brain of an 83-year-old Alzheimer's patient, then he wouldn't be able to get through the airports." Like, that's kind of a good point, but I mean, I'm sure there are people to help you to get to the gate you needed, anyways, though,
I
too.
think there's so many people that are covering it up that they know what happened or they were involved and they just don't. They're not talking about it. I wonder if there's the police during that investigation. I wonder if they're covering things up. Money talks. You pay the right amount of money and you can make anything look like an accident.
It's kind of like Dave brought up. It's weird how, like, Dave, don't you agree? Like, it's interesting that how uh Jimmy Snuka, he was fined liable, civilly liable against Nancy, but then they didn't charge him for 30 years. But but like, it's weird how it's hard to explain. Like, oh,
Maybe he knew
there.
too much about what McMahon was doing behind the scenes. McMahon is quite politically powerful.
Oh, especially when his wife, during that time was starting to try to get be a senator. You know, that was about that time when she was trying to be a
Even
senator.
even earlier, Trump allowed him to do WrestleManias, I think, twice at his facilities.
Yeah. Well, that was before. I mean, I don't know when he tried to go for election. I know he tried to run for election before and he
And
failed.
but see, the thing is, it's power. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I
So
mean,
because he's
allegedly,
got because McMahon has friends who have power. Perhaps sometimes certain things won't be brought up until many years later.
Hey, I gotta hop off this call. I gotta go punch that proverbial time clock, make some money.
All
all
right, man.
right,
You have a good night,
See
Joe.
you later, Joe.
see you, Joe. Thank
So,
you for coming.
Casey, and actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute my mic. I got to go tend to my son. But real quick, I did want to see: is there a possibility we could pull up the one of the bear with me here, the Arn Anderson interview that he did. I don't know if any of you guys have seen it or not, or if the audience has seen it, but that is
Oh,
an eerie prediction of the road Benoit was headed down, and we're talking
I
WCW years before. Have you seen that, Casey?
no, but if it's a video, I don't want to take a chance because
I understand.
I would get a copyright. I mean, if we can get like transcript, we can read that off.
Yeah, yeah. I know that. I had played it on my show,
Mm,
and we run through YouTube, and we never got hit for it. But I also, respectful to you. It's your show and stuff like that. Also, what I can do is when I jump off, or whenever, I can most
mm.
certainly send you the video, or have you even look at it, later on.
Yeah, I could do that.
It's
I
it's very scary, and I mean, when you listen to it, if you're
mm.
receptive, it'll give you the chills right down to the bone.
Oh damn. Yeah, I'm definitely down for that.
Oh yeah.
Like the case is always interesting because every once in a while, like I'm listening to podcasts and sometimes I'll just throw one of the Chris Benoit things on to listen to. So and I knew it was coming up because it's in June. Like I said, it's in between this week and next week. So I was like, and there wasn't really much to talk about because the next pay per view isn't until the end of the month, anyways. So there wasn't really much to talk about, but uh, I just thought it was just crazy how long, like Dave said, like it was 24 years since 9/11. Well, it's almost 24. It's 23 years. It'll be 24 this year since
Okay.
9/11.
Casey apparently knows math.
I can add.
It's a goddamn miracle.
I mean, I did graduate high school, so
3
I mean,
times.
I can show proof, but I don't actually want to dox some of my information. Well, I mean, I don't want to dox my last name and where I graduated from high school. Like, if I
Yeah, because
can,
then
like,
we'll know it's a school for special kids who drool.
well, let's just say this: it was actually this. My class had over 1,000 uh, people who graduated.
It was a
I
big
heard.
school.
Yeah, I mean, what I heard, my school was actually the third biggest school in the country.
Doxed.
Hmm. Interesting.
But I'm not sure if that's still accurate. But when you
Maybe
have
for
like,
its time it was accurate.
huh?
Maybe for its time it was accurate.
Yeah, probably at its time. Yeah, I agree. When do
Boy,
you,
oh boy, that's the last time I do a raid while trying to like stay on a show. That's the last time I do a Destiny 2 raid encounter that takes
uh,
40 plus minutes for one fucking encounter. Jesus Christ.
so let me ask you guys: do you remember what you were doing when you heard the news? Like,
Oh yeah.
like I
About
said,
Benoit, I wasn't watching wrestling at the time.
okay,
I'll be honest.
no,
And the
that's
fact
okay.
that
I mean,
the anniversary is literally like the day after Juneteenth, I find that poetic in some way. That's coming from
but
a black guy that does not like Juneteenth.
Chris Benoit's Bowflex says he was taking a dump. Like, imagine you get in the news, you're taking a shit. It's like, oh my
No, he was
god.
probably taking a dump with Benoit's head around his neck, around it.
Oh, but you know that probably. God, you know what's crazy is when Duke. Let me put you down. When 9/11 happened, um, I had the same situation. I remember where I was, but my mom was getting her knees replaced,
Mhm.
and she just happened like just got out of surgery. She's still drugged up in the brain from all the drugs from the getting her knees replaced,
The
and
anesthesia, yeah.
yeah, the anesthesia, and
Yeah. We all get.
she would ask my grandpa, it's like, did that plane just fly in that building? Like she was thought she was seeing things when that happened. So man, she's like you're like under drugs like that, and you think you're seeing something, but you did. But uh, I thought that was kind of funny story. But uh, what about you, Dave? Do you remember what you were doing when you heard about Benoit?
What I was doing when I heard about Benoit, was it I was at home, and either I got an email, or I think it was MSN Messenger back then, or maybe ICQ, and a guy I knew that was big into wrestling mentioned that. So, and then more came out later on, and there was more shock from the group of friends that I was with, who were big in wrestling at that point. Um, but yeah, and that was basically it.
What about you, AJ?
So I was, let's see, that was back in 2007. So I was 16 going on 17. And I remember I was outside of my house when I got the news. And I remember being immediately I went and jumped to conclusions and thought that Nancy had done it, like I mentioned earlier. And I remember just being so full of hate and just rage. And then as more came out, I remember redirecting it to um, over to Benoit. And just, I mean, like
Mm,
even now, you see how much hate Benoit gets for something that we don't. I mean, it's widely up for debate. You either got people that are strongly hate the man for it. I mean, I remember saying some really raunchy things about Chris when all that came out, when it first came out, and still to see how everybody, or not everybody, but some people hold that hatred for Chris for because of the whole situation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've learned to ease up and take more of a understanding. Maybe God has worked on me a little bit. Call it what you will. I've just and maybe even just for health benefits, I find it's much easier to keep an open mind, um, play that devil's advocate, and look at both sides rather than just jump on one side and go straight, and fault somebody when we don't know the whole story.
I mean, for me, like, I thought it was Kevin Sullivan. That was the situation. I thought for a while, but then after a while, it was like I just finally gave in. It's like I guess he did it.
Well,
Like,
Kevin Sullivan just passed away here recently too. I think it was like last year or something.
yeah,
I I don't. That's the thing, though. I remember being somewhat skeptical even back then when I heard the news. It's something that didn't feel right. Um, and although it was earth shattering and tragic, there was something to me that still didn't feel right. And again, there was also talk in my circle about the fact that it wasn't on the level. It was something off. I do remember that. Um, and there was a guy who was an even bigger mark than I was, talking about that. But again, even after all these years, it just seems to be that we weren't told the whole story. There was a bunch of stuff that was not initially published or released, and there was hesitancy. Um, and again, it just, to me, the calls and stuff seem to indicate that to me is the red flag there. The biggest red flag
the
is
one thing
is
that oh, sorry.
no, I'm going to say that it sounds like he was being held hostage,
For
and it
me,
sounds like logistically there'd be multiple people involved in
I
taking
don't
charges and
know.
making it look like it was murder suicide.
I don't know. I think it'd be really hard to cover that up. Like you would have to, co- like you would have to
God,
cover your, I'm not to say your tracks, but like you would have to literally be like yeah, you can wear gloves, but yeah, there's the theory of he all three being hold uh at
held
what they
hostage.
were yeah held hostage,
Well, I want
and
to point
then
out. I'm sorry, Casey, not to interrupt here, but you know, with him being so paranoid and taking different routes, and him just going being, I find it very hard to believe that somebody is just going to flip the switch and be that paranoid unless you are involved in something that maybe you tend to either regret getting into or, I mean, like steroids, drugs, things like that. Maybe he pissed off the wrong people, and maybe those people that he pissed off are very wealthy. They know how to cover their tracks. And, I mean, again, money talks. If you shell out, if you're wealthy enough and you shell out the right dollar amount, I mean, everything disappears. goes off the record. You can't find traces of anything. I'm just saying, and I don't dismiss anybody's, thoughts, opinions, comments, or anything like that. But I mean, I'm just saying, that is a very high possibility. I'm not. I was never really like, a Benoit mark. I'd never tell you Benoit was my all-time favorite wrestler. I have respect for Benoit, but also at the same time, I couldn't sit there and say, he was my all-time favorite.
Oh,
But
he wasn't my all-time favorite, but like I was super
I need
happy
to.
when
Sorry.
he won. I was super happy when he won the belt at WrestleMania 20 because that was like I was like, hey, he finally got it. Like I didn't know if he was ever gonna hold it again, maybe once or twice more, but allegedly he's gonna win the ECW belt, but like would have been big if he did. Would have saved ECW. I don't know, but like I felt that ECW was such a cursed brand. That version was so cursed. I don't think he could saved it. But I don't know. I just
East.
think Benoit. Go ahead, Dave.
Uh, oh my God, I forgot what I was gonna say. God damn it!
I think I went like left field.
You did.
My A. I think my
Yeah.
ADHD went. It's like, hey, squirrel.
Oh, you know
But
what? I remember now. I remember. Okay, so this is what I think is unfortunate. This guy is truly, was truly one of the great technical wrestlers. Came from
mhm,
Canada, proved himself on many stages. Uh, he, because of this whole situation, regardless on how you want to view it, um, it overshadows his actual technical wrestling ability,
mhm,
and that should continue to be talked about regardless. That you can't erase history. If you try, you're a Soviet fucking scumbag, because that's what socialists do. They try to erase the past. Look, it happened. Okay, whatever happened, okay, as crazy as it was, it happened. But you can't take away that this guy added a lot, and he was really good at what he did. So why can't we talk about the good? Why can't we talk about how really technically gifted he was and how you could get some great matches with him, and so many, including like Dean Malenko, who is also extremely talented in his technical abilities. Um,
I
it's stuff like that, unfortunately, that will overshadow this guy's contribution to wrestling, and we won't get to hear from it because it's taboo to talk about him.
well, I mean, I can understand from WWE side it's taboo because I mean, I but they don't like completely hide him from everything. Like if you go to Peacock, he's there. Uh actually this is one of the words that's gonna fuck me up, but the WWE encyclopedia, there we go. Actually has a small section with Chris Benoit in there with his picture. Obviously, they're not going to say he one night he killed his kid and wife and then uh killed himself. They obviously they didn't put that in. Maybe they should have. I
What?
mean,
Winner of the Murder the Family
well, I
Championship?
mean,
Like,
no, where they had all he did, and then like they're talking about his history, and then they just like they left off at the very end. I think they kind of left off with maybe his United States championship run, or they might have stopped at the world belt. But I think it you kind of I guess WWE didn't want to bring too much light to it. I'm shocked they even put him in there, but they don't hide him from the content on Peacock. But obviously they're not going to celebrate his career. Like I don't
Why
blame
not?
them for.
Why not? Why not celebrate the good and ignore the bad?
Well, you
Kinda
look at what they
hard.
did to Umaga. I don't even think Umaga got any type of tribute whatsoever. I didn't know about Umaga until 2 months after he died. And I've been a diehard wrestling fan. I watched it every week, and I mean, I've been watching it since I'm 3 years since I was 3 years old. I'm going on 35 now.
Mm.
Also,
So
Casey, isn't Snuka in the Hall of Fame?
Snuka is, I believe, yeah.
Yeah. So
Not,
your point is
kind.
moot.
Hold on, no, kind of.
Kind of.
When he, because here's the reason. Let me. If
No, it's either
here,
a yes or a no. Is he in the Is he in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no?
I don't know. I mean, you go to the web page. He's
But
not
you
there.
have two people that just said he was.
Well, I mean,
Did,
here's this
did they
is the reason.
remove him?
Well, here's the thing. When he died, they called him the Hall of Famer. But if you go to the website where the Hall of Fame is, he's not there. You could go probably to Jimmy Snuka or go down to the J section. He's not there. If you go to the S section for Superfly, he's not there. Like I kind of don't blame them, but I feel like not only he shouldn't be in there. Honestly, I think Sonny needs to be kicked
He
out.
was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996.
That's what. Yep,
Yeah.
I was just going to say,
Son,
which is
son, good.
surprising. I didn't think it was that. I didn't think he'd been a Hall of Famer for that long. I thought he was
Oh
one of like 2000
Good job, Casey.
something.
You look dumb.
no, he was
Yeah, you do look
inducted.
dumb.
I might look dumb, but let me
And
put this
sound
in.
dumb. And smell dumb.
Oh, how can you smell dumb?
Yes, it's a crazy talent I have.
Hold on, what does smell dumb smell like?
I was going to say, what is dumb? What
it's
does it smell
it's
like?
it's acrid and sour.
But let me
It's like a dirty gym sock that was left in a sewer.
so I'm on WD website right there.
Hey,
Oh,
but I
Maybe
got
they removed him from the website, but again, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1996.
well then what about the whole thing where Hogan got kicked out and then they said they reinstated him, but
Maybe,
before we move
That's a
but
big
that's the thing,
possibility,
though.
but that doesn't mean that happened to everybody.
But that's
but
the thing, though. If you're dealing with a company, and then people have to immediately judge this, guys. If you're dealing with a company that's going to be basically Soviet, and they're going to erase history and be like, no, that guy was never part of the company, or he was never a Hall of Famer and stuff, and yet we've got records that it is. It's just like these people are trying to rewrite history, and that's never a good thing.
before we move on, we do have Tex on the call. What's up, Tex?
Welcome,
Howdy, gentlemen. Y'all doing all right tonight?
Yeah, it's a good night. I figured it's the coming up to 18-year anniversary of the tragedy, so I figured, hey, let's talk about it. So I saw you
Now,
talked about the family annihilator, so
well, that's what I was. I love the true crime stuff. I'm constantly looking into it, listening, combing through. I don't have a badge, but consider myself a detective kind of person. So, do any of y'all know that? Like, what's that?
Private Dick.
Hey,
It's
sounds good to me. Hey,
term.
you pay. Hey, you come to whatever you want as long as the paycheck's right. I don't give a shit. But no, I was gonna say, Benoit. Now, you have to look at this two ways. I mean, I don't know who the new guy is, so howdy, what's up, Tex? But besides that, I know everybody else on the call pretty much lifelong wrestling fans. So a creative mind is had here. So it's easier to believe it like the Kevin Sullivan angle, which at one point in time I considered and believed myself. But going through the true crime that I have over the years, studying the different types of serial killers and this and that and everything else, I 100% believe Benoit killed his family. He is the prototypical family annihilator serial type killer, which basically what that is. Have any of y'all ever seen the movie The Stepfather or The Stepfather 2 or any of those?
No.
No.
Okay, basically what a family annihilator killer is genuinely a man, can be a woman, but usually male, that for either financial problems in the home, basically if they don't have a perfect life in any way, shape, form, or fashion, it's like it's a shame guilt complex that they can't, like, they know they did something bad, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, and they don't want their family to have to deal with the shame of what they did wrong. So they literally kill their own family to spare them the shame and the harm. Now, more often than not, this is based on like money, or the guy was killing people already and he didn't want his mom and his wife and whatever had to have to deal with that shame. So he goes ahead and does the job. But let's look at Benoit with the brain damage. I'm no brain doctor, but anybody who lands on their head long enough, yeah, you're going to be messed up. I mean, what did they say? He was basically like a 80 or 90-year-old brain wise. The dude wasn't right in the head.
Not only they said he was like, I think like 83, but
Like an 80
Right.
Yeah, but Casey made a good point that Mankind, Nick Foley, he got dropped.
It was Joe.
Well, that's the reason why Mick Foley goes and does and writes all these books and does all these shows, is to try to keep his mind active so he doesn't go cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I heard him talking about that the other day. But my point with Benoit is he literally ran his head into the mat every night for 200 days a year, whatever the number is. When I took steroids, whenever I was playing football, I took steroids. Now, nowhere near any of the amount that he did. I mean, Jesus Christ. I don't care how much you work out. If you ain't pumping up, you don't look like that. That's not natural. That changes your aggressive mode. That makes you more feral. Not only that, but what was the son's name? Was it Daniel or the other one? I can't.
Daniel's the one that killed David.
David's the one. Okay, yeah, David's the one that's alive. So he did not like how skinny Daniel was, the boy.
Yeah.
He was shooting him up with steroids. Him and Nancy were.
That was alleged. That was allegedly. I mean, actually, there's
no. I've seen documents that prove that he was actually doing that once they did autopsies. That was proven. I've seen that. But my point is, Chris Benoit is the prototypical family annihilator serial killer. Yep. And the shame that and this is my theory, that I don't know if this has been said yet. Go look at him and Eddie Guerrero. That man bawled like a bitch, like he just lost the best lay of his life. That is not, I don't care if my best friend died right now. I'm not going to cry and write in a journal that is not natural.
So what do you attribute that to?
I think him and Eddie were gay for each other. Nancy found out about it. She wasn't happy about it. That caused problems in the household. He was already going crazy, and it just went bad, like we've seen so many true crime stories go. Go look at Nancy's sister talking about how Nancy was calling, trying to get away, and this and that and everything else. This wasn't just one bad day like a Joker Batman thing. This was one episode on top of another. I mean, yeah, the story about Kevin Sullivan being involved, yeah, that's a great wrestling story. But would make a fascinating movie. But I don't believe it's valid here. I think Benoit did it.
Here's one question for you, Tex. Here's one question.
All right.
I remember seeing on Dark Side of the Ring that Nancy had like a black eye on her face that her sister saw her with after she took off a pair of sunglasses. They never did confirm whether or not it was Kevin Sullivan who hit her or Benoit that hit her.
Well,
they never did confirm that. What do you think?
You would need to know the time frame of when that photo was took or she saw
No,
or
it wasn't
whatever.
a photo. It was a conversation they had back before.
Okay, well, you need to know that
WCW.
you would need to know when that conversation took place in order to sort that out legal wise.
Exactly.
But what
after she left WCW, so about mid to late '97.
Well, what I'm proposing is Benoit did it. He was already Looney Tunes. The drugs weren't helping anything. I don't know if was he a drinker? Because I don't remember ever really hearing that.
He was drinking.
I don't think he was a drinker. He was a Reuter, that's for sure.
I think
But
drinking, I think he was an occasional. I think
yeah.
Okay, but he wasn't like a violent drunk or anything, is what I'm
saying. Tex, you're the first. I've heard a lot of theories about this situation, which I find odd, anyways. But you're the first to ever say that there was some sort of relationship between him and Eddie, and I can't discount I can't discount it because you did make a good point about the reaction of the bawling and crying and stuff, and that is normal. There we go. Yeah. Thank you. So thank you for introducing me to yet another rabbit hole.
Actually, what's crazy is before Dave showed up, it was me, Kratos, and I guess AJ. Maybe I brought up the whole thing that I thought maybe that Chris and Eddie could have been gay lovers. I think.
Well,
I don't remember that. I think you're gaslighting us. He's gaslighting.
I don't know. I wasn't listening until I didn't hear the beginning of the show. I was fixing my trailer and I saw Casey was live and I popped in whatever. But it's just like I said, to me, it's when you look at how Benoit did it with writing in the Bible and putting the towel around his neck, because the interesting thing about that for me is, I can't remember the name of the football player, but he had really bad CTE as well, and he wanted his brain studied. So he shot himself in the chest so his brain could be studied. And the whole thing about the towel around the neck, I think that was the vanity of Chris Benoit, that when they had his funeral, they could do a open casket and it wouldn't look as bad if he had this gigantic black bruise. That towel would absorb some of that. That's what I think that was. Now, this also goes a step further, though.
Case Benoit could have went and stabbed himself in the chest or shot himself in the chest. So to say that it was to do the towel around the neck to make it, I guess, make him look more presentable, I think it's a bit of a stretch, and I'm not going to discount it or take away from it. But I'm just saying.
I don't think so. I mean, think about who you're dealing with here. You're dealing with a man who is used to being on television. He's a face. He has an ego. You don't get to be a pro wrestler if you don't have ego. You have to be vain.
Yeah.
That towel around the neck is, if that's not vain, I don't know what is.
I agree with Tex with that one, but also I heard that he didn't want to cut the skin, so that I think.
But see, this also goes deeper though, and I don't know if y'all brought this up, but apparently the day of this happening, it was like up on the internet. I think it was Wikipedia that it was on or something, like literally the day of, and then it was pulled back down. WWE knew about this. They knew about this ahead of time.
That did it. They questioned and I think the kid was like maybe in his teens, like almost like 17 or 8. I forget how old the kid was. He was a young kid. And I'll have to go back and watch the investigation, but they did pull the guy in there, and the kid claims it was it was a prank. Now, I find that kind of hard to believe.
Yeah, no, that you it's not coincidence and it's not a prank that somebody in Stamford, Connecticut
Yeah.
post on the day that the family dies. Oh, this happened. That's not a prank. That's not a coin. No, if
Well,
that no,
Yeah,
that's not
people
that.
people inside that particular police precinct did give WWE the heads up on that on the inside.
Right. Well, that there's Dave's.
Absolutely.
See, Dave's on the right path there. Not just that, but Chavo Guerrero. I think he's holding out on us. I think he knows more that he ain't saying.
Like what?
I don't know.
No.
I
I think
think
he's onto something.
I'm not
All
sure
right.
that Chavo wasn't the one that went to Vince or somebody within WWE and said, "Hey, shit just went bad with Benoit," and then WWE flies down to Georgia or has somebody there or whatever, and then all of these other events take place. I think Chavo Guerrero knows a lot. He may never say it, but I think he holds a lot of culpability here. That's
Well,
the
are
We're
you
hitting
go
on
saying
ahead.
that?
something. I
Are you,
want to throw this out real quick because I mentioned earlier about an ECW original that my brother and I had on our show, and he refused to go on record and talk about it. I personally
Mhm. Well, of
talked
course
about
not, because he could be held liable for
it. Yeah,
for a murder case, of course.
right. So, but off the record and in that personal phone call, and out of respect for him, I won't mention names. He did mention uh, about the Guerrero family. Now, I mean, here's where it gets very muddy. We're talking about a very wealthy family. I mentioned earlier you get
yeah.
into, and we're just
Of
saying.
course.
Let's run the hypothetical that maybe Benoit and Eddie did have more than just a brotherhood or whatever. Maybe they were doing, um, it's a possibility that maybe that kind of, looked bad for the Guerrero family. I'm just saying maybe the Guerrero family decided to do something about it. Yes, does that take away? I mean, there is so much there. It's a
So
case.
you're saying one of the Guerreros killed the Benoit family?
I mean, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it out of the
Okay,
realm of
well,
possibility.
if that's your proposal, give me a suspect then. Like, which one of them do you think it was?
I would say it was either Chavo or I don't
Mm,
know all. I don't know all the
See
Guerreros, but
that doesn't
somewhere,
fit to me.
if not Chavo, I would say someone within that immediate circle
I
of
would
the
say
Guerreros.
I wouldn't think it'd be Chavo because Chavo was on the road because
So you say Chavo was gone. Like they proved where Chavo was. Like he had witnesses and everything else. It
yeah,
was not.
Yeah, but
That
Chavo
like
doesn't.
could have easily made a phone call. He could have, you know what I mean? No, but no, I don't think anything's come out that anybody went through Guerrero's phone other than the text message. Who's to say he didn't have this already planned because he knew he was going to be on the road?
anything's possible.
Uh,
Honestly, for me, I hate to be the one who seems like I'm just the idiot and just follow what the news is, but I
well, there's
think
your
it.
first mistake.
Well, I mean, I think he did it for sure. I think
Okay.
Benoit did kill his wife and child, but I think uh, there's a bunch of reasons. I feel that it's the CTE, and then I honestly think it's Void Rage. Void Rage. I think something triggered it from Nancy because he killed her first, and you don't know what she
Normally,
said.
how it happens with these annihilator cases, by the way.
Well, and like you don't know if she was saying something like, I want a divorce, or like I think you're cheating on me on the road, or something that just made him snap and just strangle the shit out of her. And then and he had steroids in the system,
So then
so
why
that's
would he
what.
go for the kids?
Well, here's the thing: you're not having roid rage for 3 days across. It only is for that moment. So I feel like when he killed Daniel, I honestly think that's just a mercy killing. Because
So I
like
disagree with that. You don't the mer-
Yeah.
if he truly had mercy for his boy, he would have wrote that note, killed himself, and have Nancy's sister or somebody adopt the child. My theory of the family annihilator fits better here. Occam's razor. There's nothing more true than within a murder case than Occam's razor. 99% of the time, it fits perfectly. The shame of Benoit doing what he did and now, of course, this is just my opinion, from sleeping with Eddie, from his life was in shambles, marriage was a mess, his home life was hell. He just killed his wife. He needed to clear the board. He needed to just clean sweep and then do himself for the shame of everything that he did.
See, Tex. I'm not familiar with the family annihilator. I think you called it.
You should look into it. It's very fascinating. Mental
Could you
complex.
cite examples that might be famous that all of us know that we can say, "Oh, okay, we can see the same example presented for what's being done."
There is a couple murder cases. I can't remember the names right off the top of my head. Sorry, I've been working out in the heat all day. But just look up family annihilator serial killers. You'll see them when they come up, and you'll get what I'm saying. Just remember the theory that I'm saying, that of how this went down, because this was not a Monday Night Raw. Kevin Sullivan didn't do it. Dusty Rhodes didn't come in at the last second with the Road Warriors. No, that's not how that went down. I mean, it's sad and it sucks and it's filthy for, especially with WWE having it leak out on the internet and then covering their ass, doing a in memoriam show and then striking him from the record. Oh, we didn't do anything wrong. Who was that guy again? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyways,
it's Soviet revisionism.
It's disgusting. It is, for them to, remove his name from so many things, which I'm sure y'all also talked about all the other bad people within wrestling that are awarded still, but,
Yeah, Jimmy Snuka.
Right. I mean, didn't Ted DiBiase run like a racketeering thing just here recently? There's a lot of assholes in wrestling.
Yeah, him and his son.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So, I think it's right that Benoit was erased? No. He should be remembered. He should not be praised. But we didn't just forget about... Huh?
That's what I told Casey, is that why is it that the bad has to overshadow the good? You can concentrate on the good and forget about the bad or not mention it.
But Dave, let's be real here, though. None of us ever forgot him. Just WWE pretended to. He never went away. You know what I'm saying?
But that's the thing. With every year, we get older and new fans come in and they'll never even know.
Now, y'all would know this better than I. What was the Mania where he faced Michaels and Triple H for the main event? What was that?
20.
So if you go on Peacock or whatever the app is now, is his name on that match, or is it just Shawn Michaels versus Triple H for the title?
No, Benoit is all over Peacock. When you go and you watch everywhere from his debut and because I watched it. I would go and watch old wrestling on Peacock, and he's ever since he made his debut in WWE, he's been whatever episode he wrestled for that Raw, SmackDown, whatever. He's been on there. So I don't think even for them.
The only problem is they take out the timestamps for every segment he was involved in.
Oh, but he's still in there though. So they did their best to scrub name recognition, but they couldn't obviously you can't erase him from Mania 20 or whatever y'all said. You can't edit out that match and have it presented. You would have an incomplete show. So okay, that makes sense.
But I think and here's where what bothers me is we're talking about such an old case that will never officially get solved. It's not like you're going to hear about it on the news.
Oh, you can add it onto the pile of.
Well, yeah.
No, it's never going to happen.
And but here, what I think, amongst wrestling fans and even casual fans, or people just that have heard the story, it has caused such a divinity between people that I mean, Tex. Look, I mean, I'm not, I may have my thoughts and I may disagree with with your thoughts, but
You can agree, disagree. It doesn't matter
well,
to me.
and that's what I'm saying though. It's one of those things. Like, I wish more people could be like us, where we could come on here and politely just agree to disagree, and
Right.
let the family, and that's how I want to word it. Let the family just rest. I mean, look.
Well, hang on a minute. Us having this little conversation on our whole of the internet is not affecting the Benoit family one bit. They don't know we exist.
No,
They're fine.
exactly.
But my whole point though is I mean, and this, I mean, just outside of the Benoit case, there's so many different things that divide people, and I mean, and I've seen where disagreements, whether it be amongst wrestling fans or not, they get into where it goes past agree to disagree. Where people are easily offended. So Tex, I do want to say, I understand where you're coming from, and anybody who says Benoit did it, I will never tell you you're wrong or your opinion, because I don't know. I was not there. I mean, I can then we can agree to disagree, but I just think overall, people who know about the case, and whether they have studied it die hard or just kind of take it for what it's worth, I think that it's because it's so widely known that it very much causes such a divinity where it actually starts to tear apart people who may be close, or
Well,
ruins friendships that were that could be.
you can't look at, and Dave will know what I'm talking about when I say it. You can't study this like it's a wrestling storyline. You have to break this down as if it's a conspiracy or a mystery or whatever words you want to put on.
It's a crime. It's a crime. And again, there was a lot of questionable action by the police as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
It just adds up to the point where the entire situation needs to be examined. It's not one little thing or another. It's the whole situation and what it does to his legacy. It needs to be examined with an open mind and not just immediately dismissive, like, oh, that's just a conspiracy talk. No, I'm sorry. There's too many coincidences in this entire thing that demand that we examine them with an open mind.
The problem is, it's one of those things, is as the years go by, like, whatever evidence is there or people's story, it just goes away.
From all of this, for all of the years that I've looked into this, apparently only the first investigation by the police, heavily influenced by WWE, by the way, was the one and only time this was ever looked into. I've never seen a credible study of a private firm looking into this, or anything. There's obviously problems with the story. People from WWE, Chavo, there's a couple of names I can't remember right now. Sorry, I've been eating all freaking day. My brain is zonked. But there are certain key, I think Chris Jericho was one of them as well. There are names that I think they know more information that they have not said.
Yep.
And
I know that's a fact. That's a fact. I've seen documentation, interviews, research. They're not releasing things. And WWE, strangely enough, had information basically when it happened, when people intervened and such, and they were getting stuff from the inside.
Right. They were boots on the ground right beside law enforcement as this thing was going on. Vince knew everything that was happening. Like, this wasn't, oh, we'll wait and see and everything else. Like, yeah, they know they're culpable. I don't know if WWE ever paid the Benoit family or any uh,
Well,
paid them any money or anything, but
why
they're
would they,
I don't know.
why would they need to pay him anything? Because I mean Vince didn't do anything. And if you want to say, oh,
Well,
they caused their brain damage. Well, so WCW didn't do it, or ECW, or when he was in Japan,
no, the
or
culpability that I'm talking about with WWE is the covering up and trying to hide the crime and get it buried as fast as possible. That's what I'm saying.
well, I want to show something that was kind of interesting. Is that one of the crime scenes where you have like Daniel Benoit was I think he was smothered, but if you look, this is his bedroom, and you can see that he has the world heavyweight title with his nameplate on it. But the cops lift up the covers, and there's a giant butcher knife under his bed. So I'm wondering if he was
Uh,
planning to stab him, or he's like, or
he was
I
a
know
kid.
what.
Okay, he was a kid though. Whenever I was a kid that age, I had knives. You're out carving. To me, that's not the biggest thing. Now, it could be nefarious, like,
With a
oh,
butcher knife, though, like that, I mean,
yeah, it's possible, dude. I got my first gun whenever I was 7 years old. Sir, 6 or 7 years old. It's not a far stretch, especially in the South, in Georgia, in the South. I'm in Texas, but same premise.
I
It's
don't. I
not.
don't see why that's a big deal. In fact, in
It's not.
Afghanistan, as soon as a child is born, male child, they basically gift the child with an AK-47.
Yeah. Growing up, I was a Cub Scout.
no,
They
right?
teach you the first day you join the Scouts, they put a pocket knife in your hand, and you are to carry that at all times.
Yeah,
That's part of
it's
the Scout.
yeah, but it's a Swiss Army knife because it
Okay,
has like.
but Casey, you were never a dumb kid and grabbed something and hid it in your room that you weren't supposed to.
Oh yeah, but it's
Okay,
We
definitely
all have at one point.
it's definitely, come on, you cannot say that's a coincidence when the cop, unless
I'm
the
not
cop.
saying it's not. I'm saying it could be. Oh, he was scared, and if Dad attacked, he was going to carve him up. That's
That's a
possible too.
possibility. Yes, I will.
That,
But
ooh,
I
that's a
try to
great
keep an open
point.
mind, and that's what I will say. I think
yeah,
anybody who studies the case is there's not enough people that are willing to take the opposite opinion.
That's a
And
good
you know what I
point.
mean? It's one of those things where, I think we all mentioned earlier, it does need to be studied with an open mind, not, well, from a wrestling context or standpoint, or, favoritism or anything like that.
no,
It really
you
needs to be
don't look at this
unbiased.
like Benoit is your favorite wrestler. You look at this like you're the police officer that
Mhm.
showed up on scene, and you break
Yeah,
it down right down the middle. However it falls, it falls. It doesn't matter. You
Yeah.
look at it equal.
I understand. That's a great point. That it could have Daniel could have brought that up for his defense. I'm not gonna lie. Was my parents the greatest? My parents fought, and I'm not gonna lie. There was one point I thought like my dad was gonna do something uh physical, where I got something that I was trying to, let's say, prevent was gonna happen. I don't want to give too much, so I
We
could,
all understand what you're saying. You don't have to
yeah. But
go into
I
it.
could, then that makes a little sense right there. I still think, like, I still think that's gotta be Chris, because a giant butcher knife, like, you would think
Or
if,
you
like,
know, there's also another possible answer, and I'm just throwing about what if. What if the kid? Oh, mom and dad weren't looking, and he snuck a cake out of the refrigerator up to his bedroom, right? And he was going to cut him a piece in there. So, oh, I don't have a knife. Let me go rush down and grab one. grabs it, and then mom comes walking up the stairs one day, and he's hiding in that. Oh, what's the easiest place to hide something when somebody's coming upstairs? You throw it under the pillow. You throw it under the mattress. That's speculation. You can't get lost in those details when you're looking into this true crime. That's where so many
Okay.
people get lost in the weeds.
Okay, so let's say that did happen. Then would you say, oh, like the kid gives up and leaves the cake there and like forgets the knife and like acts like it never
I'm just
happened
throwing in a
again?
what if that is just as valid as anything else, and to make a point is what I'm saying.
Like, come on, that looks like a set. Like, you know how some of those knives you get in a wood block?
Yes.
That looks like one of those that would be in the wood block. You would be like,
Okay.
"Hey,
Well,
where's this
once again,
missing?"
if little Benoit Jr. was running down to grab something to cut that, metaphorical cake, where else are you going to go? Either the knife drawer or the block, because where a knife's kept, case in either
You
of
would
those
have,
places.
and you would get the biggest knife you can find,
Of
too.
course,
You know?
duh. Are you
I
are
would
you
be
going to get the
more.
littlest one?
I would be more inclined
No.
to believe that he felt that right there. I would be more inclined to believe that he thought his life was in danger, so he took the knife. That's what
Yeah.
based on the
Off
photos.
topic here, but conversations like this are why jury trials are flawed, because crap like this goes down and the whole case gets lost in the weeds. By the way, that's just a little off topic,
That's
but
that's a good
I find it
point.
funny. So, anyways,
But I think everybody on both sides, whether you look at it as innocent or guilty, I think, and it seems to be the theme of the night here. But just my thoughts and opinions. I think it's very there's valid points on both sides of the line here, and that's why it's such an unsolved case, and why it's
or just for fun, what if WWE planted that knife after he was dead to make everybody throw off the scent list? What about that?
Well, no, it wouldn't be double unless he paid like over the
What if
phone.
Vince
Like,
McMahon called down to that Georgia sheriff and said, "Boy, I ain't paying your paycheck if you don't take the biggest butcher knife out of that block and put it under Daniel Benoit's pillow right now. Get it going." What?
Tex,
I mean, it's possible.
Tex, you got me
What's
thinking
up?
about something. You got me thinking. And it's so funny that we're talking about something that any any person can just randomly put some thought into this case and throw out a conspiracy, and it'll take off like wildfire. I
I
think.
don't. I don't consider the theory that I put out there when I first started this a conspiracy.
Mhm.
I think it's right. I think I'm right. Now, I wasn't there to investigate it myself, but I think I'm right on the money.
well, I've found. I don't know how accurate this still is, but I tell you, it's from Reddit.
Oh God,
Um, but
Reddit is just as accurate as 4chan on most things, but whatever.
let me, I'm gonna assume this is the right picture, but the problem is once we get into this, the picture looks very blurry. So I remember, like I said, looking on the computer when all this was going down. I remember where one side said double murder suicide, and then you had the other side pretty much saying that was that say
I
it's so blurry on that end. I can't even really let me see if I can zoom
can't
in
read it
that.
off my phone screen. I'm no help here.
It it's so blurry, but you can see there's crisp three small Crispin wall pictures. I remember the right side would say pretty much his review his retroactively his review his history, his wrestling history, and something like that. but I tried to zoom into it. I could not. It was just as bad. It almost looks like it's innocent up there. But I
Well, the bottom line of this is, it's, I think AJ or somebody else brought it up earlier. Casey may have said it, I'm not sure, but this, you can add this into the file of Area 51, 9/11. Pick your favorite conspiracy mystery topic. It's never going to get solved. You know, JFK, Epstein, all of these things.
hold on.
There's a reason why the Benoit case gets added to those true crime shows and they study this, because it's never going to be solved. It's going to be theorized till the cows come out. It ain't never going to fix it.
Well, we know Area 51 exists. They finally said it's there, but I mean,
Well,
pretty much what we know was
if anybody in the actual know knows, Area 51 is nothing but a smoke screen for the real location. But I don't have time to educate you on that side.
Let me guess, Area 52?
No,
Bottom line, I don't.
Dreamland.
Area 51 is the sideshow attraction of the UFO world. But
They moved that stuff out. They moved that stuff out
Right.
basically in the 80s. So, you know,
Right.
what was left was basically just you know,
Right.
the skim of the black projects. So they don't, you know, they've moved to.
There's so many black sites,
yeah,
that have so much more interesting stuff than Area. It's stupid, but the
Plus you
Benoit
also-
stuff, it's
Antarctica. But yeah, Benoit.
yeah.
But-
To stay on topic, Casey, it's your poor flat earther little brain can't handle all of these. Stay in the kiddie pool. Keep your water wings on. It's safe over there.
What's
Just
up,
saying.
Trackopedia? He says, "Can we put Nancy in the Hall of Fame, please?" I agree. I mean, she was a great manager.
Why? What did she do besides get killed by Chris Benoit?
Oh, dude, hold on. She was not. I don't.
She was
think
a valet.
No,
for-
seriously. Besides
great-
being Kevin Sullivan's wife and the valet of a few wrestlers, what did she do that was so good she deserved the Hall of Fame?
I will
she
agree
was-
with. I will agree with Tex on that. I don't feel as if she, and I don't take.
She
away
did
from
nothing.
I don't want to take away anybody's contribution to wrestling. You know, whether it be Nancy or anybody like that. What I want to do, what I will say though, is the Hall of Fame in itself, I believe, has just come down to the point where it means nothing. You look at the Bella twins.
It's not even a real Hall of Fame. If you don't have a building, you can't have a Hall of Fame. It's literally in the title.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah. No, I agree. But you look at, I mean, even just say, you know, why hold the ceremony or anything like that when you are inducting, you know, people like the Great Khali. You know, you look.
Oh God.
You are. It has become what could have been.
Oh,
Very
can I add to
honorable.
that, AJ? Now they're inducting moments, not just people, but
Yeah,
moments.
that's stupid.
Moments? Are you serious?
Yes, fucking
Yep.
matches.
I
They
Oh,
they
Jesus Christ.
they
Well,
inducted.
I guess they ran out of all the good people, so they had to do
No,
something.
no. That's the thing, though. There's people that haven't been recognized, but WWE is a bunch of bitches that doesn't want to acknowledge this
Well,
sort of thing.
We all
And-
know that Hall of Fame
They-
is nothing but a publicity stunt anyway. So That's
Yeah.
all it's ever been.
But there's
No,
people
but-
again that they sometimes recognize like
Right.
10 years after they've died. So it just goes to
Right.
show that they're not really serious when it comes to the Hall of Fame.
Right.
I want to bring something up. Trackopedia says that if they can't say Nancy Benoit, then call her Nancy Sullivan or by her maiden name.
Okay,
got
but once
better-
again, her career highlight was getting to be on Ric Flair's arm, walking to the ring with the 440. That was her career highlight. What else did she do?
Well,
Seriously,
She was-
prove me wrong. I will admit you're right if you can prove I'm wrong.
she was smoking hot back then.
Okay,
That's not an
there's a
accomplishment.
lot hotter women that ain't in
It's
the Hall
not
of
an
Fame.
accomplishment. Stacy Keebler
It's not
still
an
wins the
accomplishment.
best ass.
But hold on, but I do have a solution to Trekpedia's question. Why don't we, if they're gonna induct her, just go by her wrestling name, woman?
Because the
That,
minute you bring her into, oh, I remember her. Who was her husband? Oh, Chris Benoit.
Yep.
That's why
Yep.
she's never making.
Yep.
It's stupid
I'm
to
just
even theorize. It's never going to happen.
see. I feel like it's the same thing. Like it's sad. Like for her tombstone, I would hate like you figure. Let's say the husband is the murderer. Like I would hate to see the murderer's last name on that tombstone. I would almost resort back
No,
to
that's
the
not
maiden
true.
name.
No, that's not true. And I'll tell you why. She had a son that also had that last name. That's why she would keep it.
Benoit's oldest
Uh,
son. I mean, he's trying to get into wrestling.
Even
He looks identical to Chris Benoit.
even when my
Yeah.
even when my mother got divorced from my father, she never changed her name because she wanted to have the same last name as her children. Not because she loved my dad, because believe me, they haven't spoken almost 20 years. She wanted to have the same last name as her kids. That's why.
But the reason I would say for to use the name woman because she used that in ECW and WCW.
But once again, you can call her woman, He-Man, or Thor. I don't care. She's still Nancy Benoit. Who was she married to? Chris Benoit. What did Chris
Or you,
Benoit do? He killed his family.
Yep.
yeah, that's
Well, let me ask you
sadly.
this, Casey,
Except for the
and,
killing.
and Trek or whoever's pushing. Why do y'all want her in the Hall of Fame so bad? What did she do?
Yep.
I think she.
I mean,
I think
please,
she.
I know I'm batting 1,000.
She
here,
got
but somebody
murdered.
can-
No, I.
That's why
somebody
she's
strike me out, please. I'm willing to be
I.
wrong. It's all good.
All right, hold on. Let me ask you. Do you think Miss Elizabeth should be inducted?
No, not really.
That's a shocker because to me, I think.
What did
But
she do?
okay,
She was
hold on. But if you were to
okay.
choose between the two texts, would you say that Miss Elizabeth at least contributed a little more storyline and
Okay, yeah. Now
managerial?
put that way. Gun to my head, these are my two options. Yes, I would put Elizabeth in just for the whole Hogan Macho Man storylines
Yeah,
going
yeah.
all the way
But
to the
I see,
NWO and
I see,
WCW.
I see where you're coming from too, because you see these
Yeah,
managerial types as sort of menial and
right.
like they really don't add much to it.
They're
But
not the stars. They're the one. They're the good looking gal that walks the normally bad guys down to the ring. That's their
yeah,
role. Number
yeah,
one,
okay.
you
What was Macho Man's little arm charm back in WCW?
George,
oh, Gorgeous George.
Gorgeous George.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Gorgeous George. Yeah,
Again, like
yeah.
Casey would probably advocate for her to be in the Hall of Fame. It's just
Well,
like you're saying, Tex. It's like they
yeah,
do nothing. They bring nothing, so they can't really be
right.
put in there.
Let's
Like,
but hang on here. Well, let's get real honest. Once they stop being hot, they kind of lose all their value. So we trade them out for the younger pop. Just saying. But what you gonna do?
well, hold on. I'm looking at the Hall of Fame actually right now.
Okay. Well, before you do that, let me pose this question: why does WWE feel the need to put 15 people into the Hall of Fame every year? If you're letting in everybody, is it really that something special?
And you know what? I was going to bring that up, Tex. You know, my question is, why are we going back and forth about whether or not Nancy or Miss Elizabeth deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? At this point, you know, why don't you just throw them in there? If you're just going to throw in jobbers, I mean, put in somebody right
Yeah,
in the
talk
Hall of
about
Fame.
jobbers. I mean, WrestleMania 1, SD Jones lost in 9 seconds, and he's inducted to the Hall of Fame.
Well, that
right
tells
there.
you right there they don't even care about the validity of their Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
If apparently Great Khali and his Punjabi ass is getting that, it means nothing at that point. Okay, it's meaningless.
For me, the reason I would say because you got Sherry right here, she was just
Now
as
Sherry's a
big.
woman that does belong.
No.
She
Yes.
earned her
Absolutely.
stuff.
Yep.
1,000%. Yes, I do agree with that.
I think her Miss Elizabeth and Woman. I think those three
Okay,
are
but
the
once
top.
again, what did Woman do? You still have yet to tell me.
I
Besides
would.
die.
Oh, I think she was a manager slash
Okay,
valet,
tell
but
me three storylines or two storylines that she really affected, not counting the Kevin Sullivan divorce going into Benoit, not counting that.
well, well, honestly, Kevin Sullivan situation.
I just said you can't bring that one up
That's bullshit. Why can't you not bring that up? Because that's the
because
biggest
that's the
one.
easy answer. Because if she is so Hall of Fame worthy, you should easily be able to tell me something else besides
Oh, okay, maybe I think she was hot when back in the
that.
early
Okay, so
days.
if you think she should jerk off to her and then be done with her like a normal man.
Okay, I answer your challenge text, but with Sherry. So you got Macho Man, um, Macho
Yes.
Man assistant and stuff throughout a lot. You also had fucking with Zeus. You had her.
Let's not forget the Hulk
Shawn
Hogan, we're
Michaels.
coming for you, nigga, where
Yeah,
Sherry is standing there behind Harley
that was my third pick. But we did
just
have
for
her.
that one
We had
moment
her with
alone. Yeah,
HBK.
yeah,
HBK.
yeah. She,
So three
yeah,
different things. I just answered your
yes,
challenge. That those are three
yes,
memorable things of
Okay.
somebody who should be
yes.
in the Hall of Fame. But you still can't say that
One
about
hundred
women, can you?
thousand percent. Yeah, I completely agree.
Well, I mean, yeah, I could see why. I mean, honestly, yeah, she's known for Kevin Sullivan and also like Chris Benoit, but then, like Trek said, she was the manager of
Rex?
Sandman
Do do
who the fuck
do
is Trek?
do do
Or
do. Alex
ECW.
Trebek would like an answer, Casey. This is Final Jeopardy, but you
Well, it
still can't come
said,
up with one.
like Trackpedia said that she was also the manager for Sandman for
No.
in ECW, but like,
Okay,
but she had a career even before WCW. Like, yeah,
okay.
was
Tell me about it then. Tell me some memorable stuff that we'll all know.
well,
I think as
I
a
Oh,
Let him
manager
answer.
or
Let him
okay.
answer. That
no.
this is important because this is the crux of the argument here. Either he can back up his statement with knowledge
Prove
of
your
what,
theory,
or
or
he.
prove your thesis, please.
Well, no,
No, no, well, or
I
actuallys. Those do not apply.
I would say does I definitely would say Sherry and Miss Elizabeth should be
We're
inducted.
not talking
In,
about them. I'm talking
We're
about women.
talking about
Quick trip.
woman, the one that you keep defending, Casey.
Just
Why?
admit it that she should not be in the Hall of Fame. Admit that I'm right.
I wouldn't say that because there's way worse people in the Hall of
That's
Fame
still not
than
the question.
We're not okay. We're not sliding the question here. Should Nancy Sullivan, Benoit Woman, whatever name you want to give her, be in the Hall of Fame? Yes or no? Case?
and why?
And back up why?
No,
Exactly.
I'll just take a yes or no here.
No, we're gonna need the
I would
subsequent.
say to me, I would say yes,
And
but
why?
Oh,
That's the whole. That's what we've been trying to figure
I
out.
just
From the
think
beginning
she
here.
had a great career before she
what
retired.
career?
No. The answer you initially gave was because we got in full circle now, guys. You said, "Well, she's pretty. She's good looking." It's just like
Because she's hot. Yeah.
that's not a reason. She didn't add anything.
The
She wasn't
fact that your
memorable.
vote counts just as much as mine in this country, it's shameful. Like that hurts me a little bit.
Oh, hold on. Should my vote like count less? Like,
You
oh,
shouldn't have one. That's my point. But we'll talk about
well,
that later.
well, technically, I didn't vote for the last few elections, so it didn't really matter. So your vote did count more, but so that fixes that.
He'll wait in line at midnight to get a Switch 2, but he certainly won't vote.
Right.
But
Casey.
no,
Just answer the question. Why should woman be in the Hall of Fame? What about this illustrious career that she had that you can't tell me about?
Yes, you have to
It's
answer
so
this.
good.
You can't keep dancing around it, Casey. Please,
Right.
just the benefit of your show,
I
just answer the question, be honest, and
I
again, just it's broken down like this. Name at least one reason why, and not because she's pretty, but name one reason why she should be in the Hall of Fame.
guess she doesn't deserve it.
No,
That thing,
you can't even. No, I
because
want
Lord
to
willing and the creek don't rise, we finally got there, but it took a while. Holy
No, no,
moly.
no. I don't want him to give up. No. He's faking this here. He just wants us off his tail. You
Oh, of
came to that conclusion for
course,
a
I know.
reason.
The
You
problem
came,
is I
you
can't.
came to that
I
today.
already gave you most of my answers. I can't.
No, but you didn't really. Why?
Yes, I did.
What did she add to wrestling that said, "Holy shit!" Like that was a really good addition. Because there's a bunch of other people that you can choose from, but it's like that
Right.
person should be in the Hall of Fame because they really added a lot. People still remember them. They still love to go
Okay.
to the conventions and like pay for photos and all that. Like, again, we've seen people who do deserve to be in there, and then there's
Let
her.
me. All right. You know what? Let's turn
No,
turn
we're
it
not
around
changing the
on you.
question here. Stay on
No,
topic.
we're not. Hold on. No, we're not. Well, let me point out someone who I think
Oh, I can feel that
deserves
Casey
less.
isn't working at work right now.
Let's point out someone who doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, real quick.
See, this is a childish argument of, I know you caught my hand in the cookie jar, but do you know what Steve did? This is the childish argument.
It's a whataboutism logical fallacy. Yes.
Oh, do
Yes.
you think this man right here should be in the Hall of Fame? Do you think Drew Carey?
I don't think the whole Hall of Fame is even legit anyway, so your question is moot. It doesn't matter.
Then hold on. It doesn't matter, but there's some high standard that woman falls short, but it doesn't matter at the same time.
No, you're missing the forest for the trees case. Number one, yes, I do not believe the legitimacy of this because Hall of Fame would state that there is a hall I can walk down and go see a championship belt, a robe, or whatever. But just for the conversation's sake, let's say it is legitimate. Okay, what are your qualifications to get in? And let's look at Nancy Benoit. What has Nancy Benoit done that is Hall of Fame worthy?
She at least had a fucking career. Drew Carey showed up to one Royal Rumble.
Lord.
And
I was trying to stay sober tonight, but I'm gonna have to drink to have this conversation.
He had to eliminate himself, and that motherfucker is inducted in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, well then just blow the whole goddamn thing up, and none of it fucking matters anyways. I'm fine with that too.
So, and I bring that up, and then
So
I know
hey, no. Casey's using the participation trophy argument here. Well, they're in, so everybody gets one. That's just what Casey.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. It's a typical fallacy that he's trying to push.
Right.
More importantly, we're talking about the individual, okay, and what they've done. That's the thing, though. Okay, so fucking who did we have earlier that he was questioning?
Trekipedia about
No. I mean, in this list here of people who are in the Hall of Fame. I'm looking at your video.
Sorry.
Well,
Drew Carey was.
Drew.
Okay.
He just said Drew
Carey.
Carey.
Okay, Drew Carey. Okay, so let's take that for example, because you got Donald Trump on the same line as well. What did they do? Did they bring attention? Did they bring attention to it? Did they do something special? Yes, because I can point to him and be like, well, I remember this, I remember that. There's this involvement, there's this and that. Fuck Trump shaving McMahon's head, blah, blah, blah. Okay, but like Drew Carey also, okay, for whatever reason, I don't know why they add him on there, but okay, for whatever reason, he brought eyes to that, okay? So I can admit and I can point to that as evidence saying, okay, well, there's the reason, obviously, they chose to do it. I can't agree with it, but there's the reason. Casey, you have yet to prove why woman should be in the fucking Hall of Fame.
Well, I felt like she contributed way more than Drew Carey did. Like, all he did just win the Rumble and eliminated himself. He barely made a presence. the only reason he was in there is just to, hey, we need a spot for a celebrity to come in and induct him. And they're like, oh, let's throw Drew Carey in there. And I don't hate the motherfucker. I just hate that he's in it. But let me ask you something. Do you feel this is coming from Bam, by the way? Would you say put Stacy Keebler's legs in the Hall of Fame?
Her ass should go in separately as well.
Yes.
That was in fact no, dude. She had the best ass in wrestling. Period.
But
See, actually, I'm going to have a Tori Wilson slash Stacy Keebler wing in my Hall of Fame just for their wonderful attributes. There's going to be statues, all kinds of photography. Oh, it's going to be great. Yes, that qualifies. Yes.
I would point Kid Rock, but like
What?
Being in the Hall of Fame, here's I just want to speak on the Hall of Fame real quick about the Hall of Fame. Whether you're a manager, valet, superstar, whatever it is, it's not about the world titles. It's about the impact, right? And there's certain people that are in there in the imaginary Hall of Fame that absolutely do belong, and then there is others that they didn't make that impact. You know what I mean? Like you could be a world champion, but that doesn't automatically give you a pass into the Hall of Fame. You can be a ballet, your whole time.
And that I agree with. Just because you won the title once doesn't mean you're the greatest of all time. Hell, David Arquette won the WCW title.
Yeah.
He ain't making my Mount Rushmore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I will. I will make a point for you.
And I like David Arquette. I'm a Scream fan. Still,
I will make more of a case for Miss Elizabeth than anybody. A valet who has never competed or anything like that. Had she made more of an impact, or had made more
of
memorable?
Course.
Than
we stated this 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We agree with you on that.
Right. Same thing with women, and that's where I think.
No, it's not the same as woman. No.
Not even close.
I just throw looks aside, right? Because looks, I mean, they fade. You age.
We're not talking about looks. What did she do? What did she do?
Nothing. And I'm not making a case for woman. I'm not making more of a case for Miss Elizabeth. Here's the thing when it comes to superstars, right? Sometimes your life gets cut. Hold on, hear me out. Your life gets cut short.
Listening.
I'm not saying that woman or Nancy, whatever you want to call her, was going to come back into wrestling. Had everything that happened and had a great career and made memorable moments. I'm not going to say that about Miss Elizabeth. I'm not. I'll even bring Umaga into the mix. His life was cut short. He's not in the Hall of Fame. There are people pushing for Umaga to be in the Hall of Fame. Do I think Umaga deserves it? I
We're not talking about Umaga.
No, I'm talking about the Hall of Fame as a whole. But I will agree with everybody except for Casey that woman does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. Same thing with Miss Elizabeth. I'm just overall speaking in general of the Hall of Fame. Even that is something that could be highly contested or widely debated about.
I mean, everyone's opinion is their opinion. Like my opinion, I feel she
is
should
wrong.
be inducted. Is wrong.
No, it's again. Everyone has a right.
No, Casey's not just wrong; he is professionally wrong most of the time. Like it's shockingly wrong. Is how wrong
he would be. He would be the highest paid employee if there was a job for being wrong.
Casey's Elon Musk.
I know that. I know that job. That's a meteorologist.
Right.
But one thing I'm not wrong. The reason why I'm in here
is that you hear that? Casey's shifting those goalposts again. Y'all feel that, guy?
We were talking about how Jimmy Snuka was in the Hall of Fame,
in
Well,
1996, which you said, "Oh, I don't think he's in there," and it's just like, "Oh yeah, dude,
no,
it happened
he
literally
what?
30
Hold
years
on.
ago." So thanks for coming out.
He was inducted, but
Oh my god,
he
dude, we talked about this like an hour ago or something.
yeah, but
I
I was
said
gonna
we
bring
went to fucking like I went to Google and it said Wikipedia, and then everyone else was chiming in like, "Yeah, it was 96. He was
yeah,
inducted."
but
What are you talking
you go,
about?
but if you go to the page, he's not there,
Let
not
me
under
ask you.
the.
Oh my god, you fucking Orwellian fuck. This is what I tried to explain earlier. It's just like they've scrubbed him. Okay, remember the
Oh, it
Soviets? You
feels
know, the
so much
evil
smarter
Soviets?
after
They
hanging out with
scrubbed
you.
them from their fucking website to hope that people don't remember that. And
Let me
meanwhile, it's literally a fucking Google search away.
let me ask you all a
Okay,
question. Do y'all believe that Tori Wilson should be in the Hall of Fame?
Can you believe this text?
I
I
believe that they had to burn down the middle school to get Casey out of third grade. I believe that.
Uh,
I want to bring this up.
Does Tori
What
Wilson
about
deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, though?
does
For that
Sonny?
record, for that body in Playboy. Okay, here's why Tori Wilson deserves. She was she came from WCW. Not only was she on the show, but featured in key storylines. Now, of course, it was a bad time in WCW with the whole New Blood, the Millionaires Club, and everything else. But not she survives the buyout, goes to WWF, becomes a huge star, not just in wrestling, Playboy international model, internationally known, multiple covers she had. People knew who Tori Wilson was. Yes, I would say for the what was the storyline with her and her dad? And was it Dawn
Don
Marie?
Marie. Yep.
Uh, there was, of course, the one with Sable. Good God, I loved wrestling at that point in time. God, that was hot. Now, this was the sexier time in wrestling, so most of her stuff was, of course, she's a smoking hot blonde. You're going to cater to what she's good at. That's not her fault. I say she deserves.
All right, then I want to bring something up. So,
Okay,
does Sonny deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Because
does
here's
who?
this
Sonny.
Sonny. Because here's the cunt who killed someone recently in a
You tell
car.
us, Casey, are you okay with fucking Jimmy Snuka being in the Hall of Fame? It doesn't matter if he's not on the fucking website. We know he's in there, okay? So, you know, are you okay with that? And that would answer the question about Sonny for you. So, what do you say?
Oh, I don't think he should be inducted or should be still in there.
So that's the
So
same
you're
Sonny.
stating by that merit, anybody that does anything nefarious, like killing somebody or hitting somebody with a car or drunk driving, any kind of vehicle, should be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, let's look at this. Let's go to her.
No, answer my question.
No, because
Yes,
this
answer the question.
I will answer it with this. So, she was inducted back in 2011. So
Okay.
right after the year after, she was arrested arrested 5 times a year after she was inducted, and then she was arrested again in 2013. Arrested
Yeah.
again in
That's not addressing
We
the point, Casey. I
you,
mean, like,
you don't have to run down her whole background. We know what she did. Like we're aware.
okay. She was like what arrested like over 10 times.
how does
Include
that relate to the actual argument here?
Would
That
you have Sonny in there or not?
I would tear her out of the Hall of Fame because with all
But she's
I mean,
not. At one point, she was the most downloaded woman on the internet, though, Casey.
oh
Don't tell me you
now
didn't rub
hold
one out
on,
to her 100 times.
hold on. Was she
Or-
just as good as I said Nancy was hot, but that's not a good enough answer. But
No.
Sonny was hot, but that was a good enough answer. But
No, you did not. Did you not
it's
hear
still
what I said? Sonny. Now let's exclude the later portion of her life and just look at her wrestling career. Sonny was so over and so popular they would just send her out to the ring and talk wearing a T-shirt because they wanted to sell that T-shirt. She did not have to wrestle. She did not have to fight. People paid to go see her because of who she was. And yeah, she was a hot one. I mean, she wasn't like, oh my God, the hottest woman you've ever seen, but gorgeous back in her day. But her contributions, based on her era and time of what she contributed,
Yep.
I would be okay signing off. Like I said, for the sake of this conversation, I'm excluding the later portion in life after Hall of Fame.
Would you kick
Just
her
for
out
clarity.
for?
See,
Would
and
you
that's the thing
kick?
about I think they were even wrong for kicking out Hogan in the Hall of Fame because
I agree with that as well.
because
He
you
said
were
that
racing
he said the
people-
N word, big freaking deal. It's a word.
But besides that, the Hall of Fame should be about the in-ring.
I guess I'm never making the WWE Hall of Fame because I've said
Well,
that a
that's-
few hundred times.
Again, that's the point I was trying to make from the very beginning. Is that, again, why should these things overshadow their accomplishments and contributions to the wrestling business and focus on the negative, you know?
Hell,
Well, it deserves
for
it.
comparative sake, we'll look at the baseball Hall of Fame. You know how many known cheaters are in there? But they're not going to go back posthumously and remove them. They're not going to do that.
What
They're just
about
not going to talk about them.
football
They're going
hall?
to move on. Or the
my
football,
gosh,
yeah.
You guys, listen, real quick. This needs to be said because I just made a startling realization. Y'all remember the storyline with Mae Young and Mark Henry? They gave birth to a hand, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I think we found the rest of hand, and his name is Casey.
No.
You know, that kind of checks. That kind of clears a little bit.
Right?
You're not far off.
So I think it's only fair that we give Casey a pass
But
because he is the love child of Mark
Casey's
Henry.
not dark enough.
Oh,
that is true. Yeah, Casey wishes he had Mark Henry's DNA. He wishes.
you know what?
But,
I'm gonna have to step back a little bit. Chris Benoit's Bowflex brings up a good point. OJ is still in the NFL
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Ah, that's
did I
good
not
point.
just? Did me and Dave not just make that point? Do y'all listen when we talk?
I didn't hear
My
you say
Lord.
that.
We're the smartest people on this call. If it's not for us, the IQ goes down by 350.
I didn't hear you say that, but like,
I'm not surprised.
The reason Casey
He's
didn't
living
hear-
his own world. He's just trying to figure out a way to
okay,
justify
maybe-
why Nancy
Listen.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
No, Dave, that's not it. The reason Casey didn't hear any of what we just said is because somewhere out there in the world, somebody gave birth to ear.
No, Casey didn't hear it because it didn't come out of Casey's lips. He only listens to what he wants to. That's why.
No,
You
I
may be
probably-
new, but we've known Casey for years. We're hip to his job. We know what kind of crap he pulls. Right? Just say you'll figure it out.
Especially the gaslighting. That's very
Yes.
incessant. A lot of gaslighting.
I'm not gonna lie. Maybe I was sidetracked
gaslight.
I was looking at information while you guys were
Casey, I
saying.
feel
so-
like you went completely off into a whole nother book.
Casey's combing the internet trying to find a different argument that he might use and fail at. That's what Casey was doing.
What's up, AJ Raiders? What's up, bro? I'll put the link in here.
Either way, Casey, just admit that you're wrong and you're a fool and we're better.
Yes,
Can you do that?
Yeah, I guess she doesn't
No,
deserve to.
I'm gonna need.
Hall of
I'm
Fame.
gonna need you to repeat what I said because I need that for my ego today. Can you repeat that?
I was wrong.
You lack discipline,
Little
Casey.
louder.
The sergeant
For the kids
asked
in
you
the
a
back,
question.
For the kids in the back,
Hey,
a
Casey,
little loud.
Speak up a little bit, please.
I was wrong.
No, still not good enough there, Nancy. Come on now. You can do better.
I'm having a little bit of, that
Technical
bronchitis.
issues.
No,
I can't
no,
hear
no.
you. What's going
That's
on?
that bronchitis is coming back right there, so I can't really say it too loud.
Oh.
If I do that, it would hurt my lungs.
Oh, so you don't. So that means you're gonna end the show now because your throat's so bad you can't talk no more, right? Is that what
Casey,
you're gonna
you're
do?
full of shit.
We can continue. I just can't say.
Guys, I'm magically able to talk again.
Wow. Wow.
But I could say I was wrong, Tex.
And I need that second part.
Nancy doesn't deserve to be the Hall of Fame.
I don't speak
No.
troll. I couldn't understand that.
No, I'll say it again, just for the tardos in the back of the class. Casey, this is for you to repeat. I was wrong, and y'all are better than. That's the part that we need.
Yes,
We're better
that,
than.
that latter part.
And you're better than me. Okay.
Oh, that felt good to me.
Oh,
Dave,
by the
did you
way,
enjoy that? Did that feel good, Dave?
clip that.
Oh, I love that.
I'm gonna clip
Oh,
that
that
and
felt good.
engage
That felt
the
good.
volume.
Oh, by the way, we got AJ.
I just got a new text alert from my phone once I clip this out and do some editing. That's what I just got. So,
What's
either
up,
way.
AJ? What's up, AJ?
What's up, boys?
So, AJ,
What's
we
up?
were talking about the whole thing about Chris Benoit and the whole
Okay.
tragedy, and then we had
Casey's gonna run it back to try to be right about somebody.
Yep.
That's why he keeps putting the link in the chat for everybody. He's trying to grasp at straws to find that one person that will agree with him, so he has some.
With what? What?
Is
It
there
really
anybody out
depends
there
on
that will
what.
agree with me?
No, the only thing I agreed with Trekkipedia about his opinion. Apparently, me and Trek is the only two people agrees with that opinion. So
Well,
The
what's your
opinion that
opinion?
is for him to that Nancy Benoit should be in the Hall of Fame, but when questioned by myself and Tex, he cannot name one accomplishment that she made or contributed that would qualify her to be in the Hall of Fame. And we cited two other females that and their accomplishments to prove that yes, these people do, but she's done nothing.
Right.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I do have to back up Casey on something on this.
Oh, dear
When
God.
she was in Florida Championship
Thank
Wrestling
you.
with Kevin Sullivan, she was Angel, the Falling Angel. She was one of the very first women that was a valet that actually made people think that Kevin Sullivan was the devil because she played that role so well. And then when she was woman in WCW with the Horsemen and Ric Flair, I mean, she did a great job. I mean, does she belong in the Hall of Fame? No. That is a no.
Bingo. Casey's battleship just sunk.
Because think about
But
listen.
let's give him this though. Let's give him this. At least you named two different things
Yes.
that
And
qualify
You didn't let me finish though.
to address that.
Yeah. And
Casey,
go
not
back to what I
one
said.
thing.
That's two more than
Her
Casey
greatest
did.
accomplishment was being Ric Flair's arm candy in the Horseman. I literally said the same thing, AJ.
Yep.
Same thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing though with Nancy is if you link her with being in the Hall of Fame, she's always going to be known as Nancy Benoit. She's not, Nancy Sullivan. She's Nancy Benoit. She was married to Chris Benoit longer than she was with Kevin, and with that leads to Chris. And yes, I will defend this on this. Chris was a great fucking wrestler, but one of the greatest technical wrestlers there ever was. But what he did to his family, to his son Daniel, and to his wife Nancy, you can't forgive that. If that's true,
No,
what
definitely
went
not.
down, because it's really fucked up. Was that weekend of my 18th birthday is when he killed his wife and his son. I heard about that shit. I was like, wow, literally, that was the craziest weekend of my life. Yeah.
Okay, but here's the problem, though. You can't get high and mighty on Benoit can't be here, but all these other dirtbags were fighting that.
Right.
You can't play both sides.
No, I know that. I mean, like I said,
Benoit should be looked at more as what he did in the ring, strictly as.
But they can't though. But that's the thing is you can't take like you for example you
No,
can't
he'll never
say
make it
okay he's
now.
the greatest.
No.
Right. But what I'm saying is you can't just say oh yes he was one of the greatest technical wrestlers. Okay, cool. But what he did in that weekend of killing himself, his wife, and his son, It erases. That's a black mark on the fucking
No, and
wrestling
I
Mhm.
agree to
industry. They
that.
can't do it.
Now,
Well, I'm saying that too. I agree with what you're saying. However, it doesn't take away from what he's done in the ring. It doesn't take away
No,
from
no.
the talent that he had.
no, but what he's saying, okay, well, here, let's just lay out the scenario. Let's say Chris Benoit retires before he kills his family. They
All right.
put him in the Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
6 months later, he kills the family, does everything that went down. Then I would say you can't remove him without removing those other 15 dirtbags over there that did their god awful stuff.
Right.
But the
Right.
fact that he did what he did while with the company before even getting a Hall of Fame opportunity, no, he's never going to make it. Duh.
No.
Plus, he
Steve,
was still in the prime still, too. You got to
this is
think
what I'm
about it this
saying.
way.
You know, Ray Charles can see he ain't got a snowball. It ain't going to happen.
No, but there's a
So,
ton of people who still thinks he deserves to be in there, even
well, of
though
course,
like
there's stupid
Yeah.
people everywhere, guys.
Wally B just asked a question. I would like to get everybody's thoughts on though. About Kevin Sullivan. Does he deserve to be in the Hall of Fame?
What did he really do besides being a booker for WCW and Florida
he was
Championship Wrestling? I mean, yes, he was in the Dungeon of Doom,
Well, he was
but
Taskmaster in Dungeon of Doom, Florida Championship. Uh, he was in that
I
god
mean,
awful trying to end Hulkamania angle where
yeah.
everybody in the company besides Macho Man was trying to kill Hulk Hogan, and Hulk Hogan beat everybody because that went so well.
but see, there's another thing though. When you link Kevin Sullivan, you're still going to go link
But
him to
yeah,
Benoit. Because
that
think about this way:
AJ's right.
that feud in
Yeah,
WCW with Benoit and Sullivan was fucking epic, especially Bash at the Beach '97 when they're beating the
right.
fuck out of each other in that bathroom and then on the entranceway. Dude, that was live rounds. That wasn't fucking fake fighting. They were
Unfortunately,
actually beating the fuck out of each other.
anybody attached to the Benoit name is forever cursed.
Yeah, just like his
It's never,
son can
yeah,
never be a wrestler. They will never
Oh,
let him
yeah.
use Chris Benoit Jr. ever. And he
right.
wanted to use his dad's name. They will never
Hold,
let him do it. Not on
are you
AEW,
hold on?
not surely hell, not WWE.
You gonna say Kevin Sullivan's tied to Chris Benoit enough
Yeah,
to?
dude. Yeah.
hundred
Have you
percent.
not paid attention? Did you not watch WCW back in the day? The
Oh,
Horseman, dude. I was a huge '97 Horseman fan. I'm sorry to say, I was a big Chris Benoit fan in WCW.
But even aside from that,
Those feuds,
Chris
the Booker
buried his
T, the
next
Booker,
fight.
the best of 7 matches with Booker T. Dude, that shit was fucking good. It was better than the one they had in WWE.
well, they couldn't finish that because like wasn't Booker T?
Considering considering Chris Benoit would have never had his wife Kevin Sullivan hadn't handed her over. Yeah, they're you're not separating
He,
those two.
yeah,
No.
think
It
about
ain't
it this
you
way.
can't do it.
Kevin Sullivan booked his own divorce in a fucking angle. He's the biggest cuckold in wrestling. Think about it
Yeah,
this way. It's the
he is.
truth.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But honestly, do I think he should be inducted? No,
No.
No, he didn't
no.
deserve it.
Like I mean, he's not a bad. Well, I guess it's debatable if he's a bad guy, but he's not
Who, Benoit
Chris
or fucking Sullivan?
Sullivan. Like,
No, Sullivan wasn't.
well,
I mean, besides beating Nancy,
yeah,
yeah, that's kind of
that's
fucked up.
the
No man should ever put their hands on a woman. That's just straight
yeah
up.
that's why I kind of stopped saying that. That it was like he's not Benoit bad, you know. He's a woman beater, but not as bad as Benoit. But
Well, the bottom line is Nancy doesn't deserve it. Kevin Sullivan doesn't deserve it. Neither of them will ever make it. Just
oh
be
no,
you can't put woman in the Hall of Fame and just never actually say, well, actually, my name is Nancy Benoit. I used to be Nancy. No, she's never going to make it. Number one, she doesn't deserve it. We have already more than overkill proved that, even though Casey still thinks otherwise because he's a waterhead. But it's a moot point. It doesn't matter. It's no. The answer is no.
no. I mean, there's definitely way less qualified people than Kevin Sullivan that's in there, but
Oh,
honestly,
and I
there's
agree that I think a gigantic number one, they shouldn't be putting in 8 or 9 people a year. They should put 3 at the very most. Very, very
and
much.
and not only that, they shouldn't be inducting fucking matches as a Hall of Fame. Just to
Yeah,
where
if you're
more
putting in moments, tell me you're desperate without telling me you're desperate. That's what you're doing.
because now people are gonna get like 10, 15 Hall of Fame spots because matches now.
Or actually build a Hall of Fame and make yours legitimate
Hmm.
and then actually have a Hall of Fame. You know how much money they can make? The baseball, the
Oh
football,
yeah,
all these people have a Hall of Fame. NASCAR has a Hall of Fame in Charlotte that you can go to and visit. They have a statue or a bust of the person or whatever.
I'm shocked
They don't have
TKO.
one.
I'm shocked TKO hadn't has done it yet. I mean, with the rumors that they're going to try to have Las Vegas as pretty much the home for WrestleMania. Uh,
And that's
I
actually
just
a really
think,
good idea, by the way. You know how much money's in Vegas?
yeah, or you know what I mean, how much they have, how
Hell,
much they do
yeah,
in
it's kind of funny.
Florida.
Back in the day, there was another wrestling company. Oh, it's called WCW. That once they got the whole thing happened, they wanted to move to Vegas too, but that didn't happen either. It's kind of funny how history repeats itself.
What's up, Doris? Welcome to my channel. Uh, but I mean, yeah, I agree. I think it's a great way to make more money. I think
Yeah,
TKO will eventually will do it, but I'm shocked they didn't do it. But I feel like, I mean, I guess I
not
was
just a
kind
Hall of Fame, but have build a whole casino. You have your gambling that keeps the money flowing. Then you have a UFC section with all of their stars throughout the year.
oh
You have the
shit,
WWE part of the Hall of Fame.
does,
They
does
could have WrestleMania there every year. You know how cool
does
that
you
would be?
does UFC have? I know they have a Hall of Fame, but do they have a
I don't think they
building?
actually have a place either. I don't know
Then
that I've ever heard.
like obviously they're under to the TKO umbrella, then wherever they house the WWE umbrella, like where you go there, you can check out the UFC Hall of Fame, even
Seems
though
like
it's
I just
all
said
what.
that, huh, Casey Israel? Maybe I just said that.
But I I think that'll make it a little bit more legitimate. But now you think about it with OJ being still in the Hall of Fame, and he was getting benefits from NFL being retired, and they couldn't take that away from him, especially when he was acquitted from the murders. So
Right.
they couldn't take
But
that
OJ
away.
was smart enough to retire and get his Hall of Fame before he killed his wife. He was at least smart enough to do that.
Well, I don't know if that was brains. I think it just happened because, I
Well,
mean,
whether it
when
was brains or good timing, it doesn't matter either way.
I think it was
But
good timing because, I mean, obviously the guy
which, by the
raised.
way, we could also go down a whole nother weird direction of OJ because I've got theories about that too.
I
But
would
I don't
love
want to
to.
go there.
I would.
I got a
I
few
would.
theories myself.
We're gonna have to set that time aside because that's a whole conversation.
I think
But
that's something we definitely gotta do. Is the whole.
Casey,
Uh,
uh, you can't jump to. You're playing t-ball. You ain't ready for the makeovers. All right. Just saying.
It's such a great analogy because it's so succinct.
It is. Well, there's so many names that are going to get thrown out in this conversation. Kate's going to go, well, who's that? Then we're going to have to go on a diatribe of 20
that's
minutes
not
of
true.
explaining that name. No,
Yes, it is. It's so true.
yeah, it is true. It is true. Either
I
way.
watched a lot about the case, and I've seen documentaries about the O.J. Simpson case. So I'm pretty sure I could
Have you read
probably.
documents? No, yeah,
What documents?
Casey, I've actually studied these court files. I'm that much of a true crime nerd.
exactly what I'm talking
Just
about.
saying.
Eyewitness
I'm
report.
just saying, I'm not gonna be like, oh, who's AC? You know, like we know
Either way,
one.
you're once again forest through the trees here, you young Padawan. Stick and T-ball. You'll be good there. Play with your flat Earth and all of your whatevers. That's fine. But, birds are not real. They're recording devices, and I don't know whatever you do.
No,
It's fine.
they're not. Hold on, they're not. Well, I guess they are recording devices, but not only that, they got cameras in their eyeballs, and they charge by the telephone wires. You know.
A few moments later.
It's definitely been an interesting topic. I love talking about the Crispin Walls thing, or the tragedy. I might be the idiot, but I do think it was definitely Benoit who did it. Like, I don't honestly like. I wish there was a little bit more information. Like, honestly, I'm not saying I want to see the crime scene where the bodies were, but I would like to have read more information like to prove that he did it, even though I think there's way too much evidence to point to him. To me, I don't. I mean, ugh, what the hell is that? But I don't see the hostage theory working because one, he was calling these guys. He called Chavo a couple times. Uh, Yeah, he like the other AJ brought up a good point, and I recently heard about this voicemail that he sent to the doctor, and he was he was slurring, but it was I I, I just think he definitely did it, but I think it was just a mixture of a bunch of things. Where, like I said, it's CT is a big thing. Um, we know for sure he had steroids, so I think he had roid rage, and I bet his wife triggered it. That's why he killed her first, and then roid rage wore it off. Then he was like, "Hey," he's like, "Well, yeah, I guess he could have send Daniel away to be to his ex-wife, but I'm sure at in the moment he's like, "What am I gonna do? Like, I'm gonna be in deep shit that, and I got this child here that has
Right.
uh had some health issues that
Hmm.
so he's like, you know what? I still think is a mercy killing, and then
Hmm.
Uh, we know he looked up information to kill himself. That's why he figured out how to hang himself by his damn Bowflex. It's
What I don't
like
get is, Casey, why didn't you do this 2 years later and then the day of it? I'm just curious because
well,
it's next weekend, right? Is the 18th? It was the 21st to the 23rd.
uh,
Yeah,
if I
when you could have did it this last next Friday, next Saturday, when it actually happened, the occur events happened.
if I was in the middle of this week,
No, no, dude, it was the week of my birthday. You know my birthday. It's that weekend, literally.
oops,
Yeah,
no fucking.
I know about this. I know about that. That's why when I saw it, I clicked on the video and I wanted to hear everybody's opinion. Then hopped on and wanted to talk about this because I'm interested about it too. I
So
wanted the round table like how we usually, because I wanted to hear Dave's opinion. I wanted to hear your opinion, Tex's opinion, Kratos' opinion, this AJ number two's opinion. I wanted to hear everybody's opinion.
and everyone had a bunch of good opinions. Like that's what I was saying. And then we know he was having relationship issues, so that's why I was saying that not only he had steroids, that he was triggered probably by the wife. That's why he killed her first. And and also with all his friends dying left and right, and it was just, I think it was just
I think
meant
he
for a bunch.
snapped.
Oh, I definitely think Snap. That's why I
I mean, come
said
on, Johnny Grunge passes, Eddie passes.
yeah,
You know, his wife has a restraining order against him, then takes it away. You know, he's at his peak of wrestling. Literally, like I think, like from like 2004 to 2007 was his peak. I mean, you can't really say the WCW days because that was like his like beginnings, really. Because I mean, yeah, you can say
yeah,
Stampede Wrestling in Japan and ECW, but
yeah,
it's like his giant like actual works WCW and WWE. Let's be honest here,
yeah. I mean,
because
yeah,
being a part of the Horsemen
mm,
what boosted him to another fucking level. Let's be honest
yeah,
here.
I
When you have
agree.
Mongo, Benoit, you got Ric Flair, you got Arn Anderson, you got Dean Malenko. You
Hmm.
know, dude, that right there. I mean, hell, Pillman was in the fucking Horsemen when Benoit was there.
Yeah,
That's before Pillman went to ECW, then WWF.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, hell, there's so much shit. Like, to be honest with you, I'm not convinced about any of it, really. Like, because the state of Georgia, they didn't do a complete investigation in this whole thing. It was a pretty much open and closed book, like right then and there. That's how they literally did it. If you really watched Vice's Dark Side of the Ring,
yeah.
that's pretty much the same shit that they posted.
Oh, and there wasn't any new information that we didn't know. We already heard all this stuff, read
Hmm.
about it, so there wasn't any new information. It's like, oh, this has happened.
Right.
No, like there wasn't anything new. Like,
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
no, I was just like, I wish there was something, but I mean, it was one of those open and shut case that,
Yeah,
like, I wish there was more information,
yeah,
but
I know. The whole Benoit tragedy is up there with the death of WCW. It's been told a million times over, and it's like we have the same exact results over and over and over again. What he did is going to be, you can never forgive a person for doing that. That's like, for example, say Casey, you went batshit crazy, right? And you
mm,
killed your mom, your dad, your brother and sister, and then you killed your dogs, and you set your house on fire. And then you said, "Oh shit, the house is on fire. I killed all these people. I'm gonna kill myself just so I don't go to fucking jail. Take the coward's way out." That's what
yeah,
he did.
yeah,
You can't blame it on CTE. Yes, did he have it? Of course. You know how many wrestlers and football players have CTE? I mean, hell, think about it. When we were watching wrestling growing up, a lot of
mm.
them took chair shots to the fucking head, not like how these pussies are nowadays where they put their hands up and take a chair shot to the head.
Oh, hold on, that's not a pussy way to do it. That's a smart way
Yes,
to
it
do it.
is. Yeah, I understand that, but think about it. Stone Cold took so many of them to the head. He didn't fucking kill anybody. Triple H did it too. Shawn Michaels did. Fucking Mick Foley literally fell off a fucking 20-foot fucking cage and then went through a fucking cage. I mean,
Uh,
come on. He hasn't
and
killed his
we,
wife.
yeah, we actually, Joe Compton brought that up. He brought
Right.
who took more damage. It's like
Mick
Foley
Foley
or
has.
yeah. I'm like, I mean, everyone was bringing up a bunch of points and counterpoints. Like
Sure.
even so, I mean, well, unless we get the chance to look at the files or see like
There isn't
pictures or
anymore though. That's the thing. They got rid of those files. They're gone, dude. They don't exist anymore.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's true. We don't know, but like we know it's closed. They're not gonna say, "Hey," unless some idiot said, went up there later, in the future, say, "Well, Chris Benoit didn't actually do it. I did it, and this is how I did it." Then they're gonna reopen that. They would still kind of have to have the records, but
Right. I mean,
he
there's two
had,
things that was very suspicious about this. Remember the guy prior to Nancy Benoit dying? He put up on her Wikipedia that she passed away, and he was in Stamford, Connecticut. Isn't that's a
yeah,
little that's a little shady and very concerning that
it,
this kid literally lived not even 20 miles from WWE headquarters in Stamford. That was very concerning.
it was just, it was a coincidence, but I remember going back then because it's one of those things that I remember
Hmm.
when I was reading through the websites, like why Benoit was not there. It was, and I read about his family having food poisoning, and
Hmm.
obviously we eventually heard that he used that as one of the excuses not to show up to the shows. So
Right.
I was like, um, that's why I heard. So I bet money. And what I actually heard is that the guy said that he heard that his family got food poisoning, and that's why he figured, hey, he's not here. Maybe it's because she died. And it's not like he put in there saying that he murdered her. It's, I remember the statement. It said he was missing because stemming from the death of Nancy Benoit,
Hmm.
and that doesn't mean he killed her right there, but they
Right.
were saying he is coming off from, he had to deal with family emergency. Even during the
Yeah.
pay per view, they were saying he had a family emergency.
Right.
But it's
I mean,
crazy.
the second thing I was talking about was what if Kevin Sullivan did kill all of them just for revenge? I mean, think about it.
Do you have any
Even though
theory?
yeah, exactly. Like, what if he did? Just because, think about it. Yeah, I know it was what 10 years prior to it when it all
Yeah.
happened. Because think about it, they died in 2007. That whole thing happened in 1997, so it's 10 years. But still, dude, you booked your own divorce. You caused that to yourself. You were the one telling Nancy and Chris, hey, do the vignettes of you guys making out with each other, always being together,
uh,
going to the same hotels, sleeping in the same beds. What do you think a guy and a girl's gonna do? Literally, she wants out of this fucking marriage. Chris just got a divorce from his ex-wife Martina as well. So they're both single, damn near, and they're gonna fuck and they're gonna fall in love. And you fucked yourself up.
Well, we got this a new person in the chat. Patrick says
Hmm.
Benoit was guilty in about 1 second from day one. Nobody give any other reasons a thought. Normally, those things takes days without any people saw directly what you did. He got killed. Uh, uh, to me, it, I feel like after a while, when the police showed up and they saw all the bodies. I mean, earlier I showed the picture where you went into Daniel Benoit's bedroom and they lift up the uh, the blanket on the bed, and you saw the butcher knife underneath the bed, and it was right there, like, and a couple of guys were like, well, we don't know if Daniel brought that up for a couple reasons. Maybe he brought it up for protection, for, when Chris been having freak outs or snapping, and we know that has happened. And
Hmm.
then maybe brought it up for, the cut like a cake, or like, come on, like, but I can understand having for protection. What's up, Azrael? But for me, I think it's way too much coincidence that knife was under there, even though that knife wasn't used in the murder. He was suffocated or
Well,
he
he
was
was
strangled.
drugged.
He was drugged and then suffocated.
Yeah. So that's the same way with Nancy. She was bound and she was drugged and bound and gagged and died.
Yeah, like there was obviously the rumors that that Benoit put Daniel in the crippler
The
crossface.
crossface.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the rumor forever. That I mean, that would be fucked
He's
up.
too little.
Yeah,
You just the size of his dad and the size of him. You can't put it on a fucking small child like that. You couldn't even
yeah,
put it on a
no,
fucking like a midget. It wouldn't. It's not possible.
yeah, his whole
The
body would be the arm. He was a
dude, the
tiny
size of
kid.
Benoit's arm was the size of his fucking son. Are you
Yes,
kidding me?
exactly. So you couldn't, like you said, you couldn't even do that. That's a great point. I
That
mean,
and they
even
kept saying
though
that he had fragile X
eh,
syndrome or something. Yeah, it's like no, he wasn't retarded. He didn't have that. The kid was a normal kid from what they were his from what Nancy's sister was saying. Daniel didn't have any of these retardation problems, nothing of that sort.
I
That's
think
the
a
thing.
lot. I think a lot of this is like I remember watching CNN. I think it was
Oh
Larry
yeah,
King.
let's watch the liberal fucking media. They'll fucking lie to you.
I remember
Nancy
watching.
Grace, that fucking cunt.
Yeah, but I remember Larry King. Jericho was on there, and he
Yeah,
said the whole thing about Fragile X syndrome.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he was like, he brought up all the symptoms, and he's like, well, that actually fits Daniel to a T. Patrick does bring up for real. He was an abnormal kid with a giant big head. Yeah, he did have a big head for a small frame body. I agree, but but it was proven he didn't have it. But I think what happened, that was the rumor that was going through the wrestling sites that he had fragile syndrome. So I bet Jericho read it and he uh read about it on the like Wikipedia what it does, and he went on CNN, and that gave a little bit more credence even though it was later on it was proven not true. But I heard there was the rumors of Daniel having needle marks in his arm,
Oh
but
yeah, the
then
track marks.
yeah, I heard that was a rumor, but I'm not sure if that's true. But we
Yeah, I
can't
don't think
know.
that's true.
I mean, Tex earlier said that he was using it for steroids for the because how kid was so small, but wouldn't it be not steroids,
He was like
but
6 or 7 years old. He's a little kid, dude.
well, there.
What
I
little
mean,
kid's gonna come on?
Uh, yeah, I don't know, but like I brought this up to the other guys where you want to feel old. You know how old
Yeah.
he would be today if he wasn't killed.
Well, yeah, he died at the age of 7 years old.
Yeah.
So let's see here. He died. So he was born in 2000.
Yep.
He would be 25 years old if he didn't
Yep.
die. Yeah.
And what doesn't that make you feel old with that?
Yeah. I mean, because think about it this way. David is, I think I want to say, I think he was born in like 94, 95.
Yeah. So he's honestly he's got to be like probably 30, 31. That's even make you even feel even older with that because
Yeah.
but it's crazy. And Benoit, when he died, he was just made 40 years
He was
old.
40.
So
No, he turned 40, dude. That
yeah,
Yeah,
That's what I
because he was
said.
born in I want to say was it was it 69? I think he was born 69.
Yeah, that's what I said. He just barely turned 40.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I would wish we could have had more. I wish the Dark Side of the Ring would have more information that we
Hmm.
didn't know, but obviously, without going through the cops and getting information that we don't know, we're never gonna know.
Right. We
But
won't. So that's the thing though. It's an open and shut thing, but at the same time, it's not because we weren't. Nobody was there to see and witness actually what happened. We're hearing
mm,
hearsay from a bunch of people that pretty much said, "Oh, he automatically killed his wife and kids and all that." But yet, there's so much shit that's backed up that did he actually do it? Was there a intruder? We don't know.
mhm.
That's the thing. And with all these sick fucks, no offense, that are sitting there saying that Benoit needs to be in the Hall of Fame, you need to fuck off and die. Because how would you feel if that was your family? That's fucked up. That's fucked
No,
up.
I agree. I think that's stupid when people thinks he should be in the Hall of Fame. It's kind of like there's no way you could separate one from the other. From
And,
like,
and and to be honest with the Casey, prior to his death and the murders, I was a huge Benoit fan. Not gonna lie. But
yeah,
when he did what he did to his family, that's unforgivable. I can't. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I
I was
mean,
a huge Horseman fan, like I said, in the late '90s. Yeah, huge. But that no, that's
But
like
if
it's
he
like
but if he wasn't guilty, then that
then yeah, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
yeah, but Edward brought like, was it you, Dave, or was it someone else brought up? Let's say he's been proven innocent now. Like, how would you feel like
yeah,
if they went
yeah,
like
exactly. No,
would
but the point I made is that there's been too much um, propaganda against him for him to probably ever be inducted because
Hmm.
they just stained his legacy so much.
Yeah, they put his name through the mud. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Dave. 100%.
there's
Please, I
way
mean, like to be honest with you, I want your opinion, Dave. I didn't get to hear all of this earlier, so if you would like to talk about this, please, I would like to hear your opinion.
Um, I think Kevin Sullivan was involved with his death.
I can agree with that because me and you both watched WCW back then. We know how much of a blood feud that was. It was real. It wasn't a work. It was a shoot.
So I want to know how he did it. Did he hold them hostage? So he's like, all right, I'm gonna
Oh my god.
pick them off one a day.
Yeah,
I
Yeah, but
want to
Case, you
hear.
got to think about this.
you're getting closer, Casey.
Oh, that's what I'm like. And then like, all right, Chris. So to get it off the scent, that's when he makes those calls and texts. Like, all right, Chris, we need you to send this information, acting like everything's normal, and that you're gonna
Yeah,
make the flights,
yeah.
and so to throw off the scent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Meanwhile, Texas story I think is even more amazing because he says there was some sort of gay relationship between Benoit and Guerrero. I mean, can't count it out because I don't know that stuff, but he did point out to the whole sobbing um, about the death and stuff, and it seems a lot more than what's being said.
I brought it up too, but I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, is like I brought up like I can understand if you lost your spouse, you sob. Same thing if you lost your parents. That's why I brought up the whole thing where I said I lost. Like this will be the 10 years coming up next month when I lost my dad. Uh, it'd be it's been 8 years since my wife passed, and it'll be 2 years coming up next month when my mom passed. So, like, and that's when I was saying how emotionally fucked up I was with uh when my wife passed. That was the worst one that I was really affected. I mean, I would say then the second one was my mom because I was there when she passed too. But it took my dad's death a little easier because one, I wasn't there when it happened, and I got to say goodbye to my dad too. And but when but everyone grieves death in a different way. Like that, like I when it all happened, my a lot of my emotions were stone faced because I had to deal with something at the moment. But minus my mom, when she was pretty much gone, it was a bunch of the family members around her deathbed. Uh, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand there no more. I started sobbing. I had to run away. But but I mean, I can't say much about friends when they died because most of my friends are still alive that I know. I mean, there's maybe a couple past, but I probably hadn't talked to them in a long time. Not saying that doesn't mean they don't mean anything to me, but some of my best friend's still alive. Like, but don't know how I'm gonna respond to it, but I probably wouldn't respond to it as when my wife died, you know? But like I can't what that's what I was saying. I thought maybe they were gay lovers because how tight they were, but like I said before, like people grieve in different ways, you know? But I think it's a definite possibility. We know there's gay wrestlers in wrestling. I mean, some people were open eventually. Like Pat Patterson was the worst kept secret as being a gay wrestler. Like
Chris
everyone,
Adams.
Chris Adams was he gay?
Yeah, yeah. Or no, it was Brian Adams. Brian Adams from WCW. Yeah, he was a gay. He
Mm,
came out as a gay.
I don't know. Don't
Look it
never
up.
heard about. I could look it up, but I never heard that. I mean, I would believe Chris Adams than Brian Adams.
Yeah, he was in Chronic in WCW.
I'll look it up. I'll go Brian Adams.
Did you say
The rest.
Ryan Adams? It's
No,
Brian.
Brian.
Not the singer from the 80s either.
No, it says Brian Adams, uh, wrestler. So I got it on Wikipedia. Let's see if it would say anything right there. Even though Wikipedia is not you can't hold Wikipedia to the gospel because it's been proven to be wrong many, many, many times. So it shows where he's been arrested in Hawaii. Uh, he was in a Bollywood movie. He promoted a CD called "Be a Man." Oh, it was Randy Savage CD. Uh, I don't see anything about him being gay, and this is under his personal life too. So, I mean, not saying they would usually put it in here or maybe all the way up here, but they I don't see anything about that. So, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not gonna know who's gay or not all the time. But Casey's Wikipedia says he's not gay too. but like it was like I said, Pat Patterson was well known to being gay, and there's a ton of other people we know who was gay. So, and during that time frame, it was still kind of taboo to tell people you were gay. During that time, like it was still. I mean, yeah, this is past Ellen when she said I was gay or I'm gay on her show,
Yeah.
but that was heavily taboo.
Well,
And
it is your It is your month, isn't it?
no, it's not my month.
Rainbow flags in the chat for Casey is raw, or Casey is gay.
but I think that's possibly has happened, but we'll probably never will know because uh Vicky's probably never gonna say, yeah, they were gay lovers. And like that, or I mean, her kids. The only people who are gonna say it's either her kids, or maybe some family members. But it would have probably been leaked out by now. You know that Eddie was gay,
I don't
or
think they were
same.
gay.
Well, it's a theory. I think it's a definitely a good theory because
Hmm.
how much he was
Well,
emotional
then you can
for.
say that about Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, because think about it, they rode up and down the roads with WWF and WCW. I mean, you
Yeah,
have your road buddies, and think about how hard Kevin Nash had when Scott died and his son. I mean, son that's one different, but when Hall died, he was pretty upset.
I'm sure he was pretty upset, but and there's nothing wrong with people crying about death either. Like I said, like people grieve in different ways.
Hmm.
Like, and there's nothing wrong with that. And even being gay is not nothing wrong with that either. Even though I'm pretty sure Tex will probably say that's a mental issue, or and I'm probably would probably be putting this in Dave's mouth, but I'm sure he would say the
What are
same.
you putting in his mouth? You hear this, Dave? He's talking about putting things in your mouth now.
He's struggling to speak. It's understandable for Casey.
but uh, but I think that's definitely a good theory why he freaked out. But here's the thing: it was 2 years later when it happened. Like, I mean, we know that he was hurt because Eddie died because during the Dark Side of the Ring, you know, Vicky was saying that Chris is crying in the gym again. Like, so
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I didn't know the guy, never met the guy. Seen him wrestle one time in my entire life in person. Seen him a whole bunch
Mhm.
on TV.
Later.
There's people. He said Chris Benoit was the nicest person, but honestly, he was the most professional, or he took everything serious, but he was also quiet, very
Well, so did the
private, and
Undertaker.
I think he was more sociable. I think Chris Benoit was. I was hearing that he was more private, while I think Taker
Yeah.
was more sociable. I mean, shit, he would go to the bar and like, yeah, I know Chris Benoit would
Yeah, but he
too.
wouldn't break. But he wouldn't break character. That's the thing. Is the Undertaker tried to keep kayfabe alive, even though it was dead fucking while he was being the Undertaker, like the prime Undertaker.
Well, yeah. When before he turned American Badass,
Yeah.
uh, then it was okay to drop that a little bit
Yeah,
because
even with the whole Vince scandal and trials and the steroids, he still fucking didn't break character.
no, like that's why he would always dress in black. You
Yeah.
know. Oh, we got text right back. Uh, am I gonna get shamed again, Tex?
Casey, sometimes
Yes.
I think you learn, and I think I say, text self, you're wrong this time. Casey's going to be better. He's going to do good. Then I come back on from dealing with what I had to, and I hear you besmirching the good goddamn name of Nature Boy Ric Flair. Did I hear that?
You
Huh?
cannot tell me. You could not tell me he's not a dick in real life.
He earned the
Like,
right to be that dick, sir. I will have you know.
In the arena where the gamers rise, raw energy flows beneath the neon skies. Casey's channel a battleground to explore. Join the Legion, it's time to roar. Like, subscribe. Don't walk away, join the frenzy. Be part of the play. Casey's Raw Game.